G'day guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, May the 26th, 2025. Now, straight off the bat, I have to apologise because I think I might have mucked up a little bit with the timing. When I went to go live there, it said I still had 30 minutes before I went live. And as we all know, if you're watching, we start at 7. So apologies if you've come in. If you do come in 30 minutes late, because that is my bad. I apologise for that. When I put up the notification on YouTube, it should have said 7, not 7:30. So am I going to cop it in about 30 minutes time? We'll see. But thanks to everyone that's tuned in for now. Got another big show. Plenty going on at the moment. We had Terence Crawford touchdown in Melbourne. No, I take that back. In Sydney this morning. Tassie Brown was at the airport to meet him. They then flew up to the Gold Coast. I did see that he went to the sanctuary, whatever it was, and got some photos with the kangaroos and koalas and all that sort of stuff. And you look pretty fresh. I suppose that's what happens when you fly business class, doesn't it? But and I think tonight he was at a gym, I think, as well. So yeah, if you're in the vicinity of any of those functions, whether the gym visits or the dinner this week, make sure you do it, because it might be your only opportunity to ever meet the great Bud Crawford. What else has been going on? Well, lots of possible fights coming up. Lots of other things anyway, but I'll leave it up to you. If you're new to the show and you're watching live, the reason it's called Talking Boxing is because that's exactly what we do. It's your show. Just put your comments, opinions, questions, whatever it might be, in the chat, and let's get into it. And again, thanks to everyone that tunes in every week and also listens on Spotify. We're getting some really good numbers for both Talking Boxing and Walking Boxing as well. So, all right, let's go. Old mate, Big J, let's start with you. Hey, mate, big congrats to Tawana Campbell, who over the weekend become the WIBA featherweight world champion. She joins the likes of Beck Hawker, Sharon Anyos, and even Amanda Serrano to hold that title. There you go. I wasn't aware of that, Big J. Didn't even know she was fighting. Let me have a look and see who she come up against. I'll get box rec up. I normally do have it up, ready to go, so apologies about that. Not my night so far. How do you spell that? Twyana? Okay. Let's give it a look. And thanks also to everyone that tuned in and watched D-Style this morning as well. The wasn't the round table, it was just myself and him talking talking boxing. There you go. All right. Miss Business is her name. Now, she went to 5-2, and she had a 10-round decision over Sacha Ryan Dryden. All right, for the WIBA. Now, BJ, do you count that as a real world title? I'm not sure. I promoted a couple of these sort of title fights with. Actually, I don't think it was Shannon. It was. Was it Shanika Johnson? It was definitely. Who was it? Sylvia Sharper in Melbourne. Who did she fight? That was for a WIBA title. But either way, it doesn't matter. It could be the platform to a big fight down the track. So, yeah, good on her. She, as I said, moves to 5-2. Now, who else was on that card? Let me have a look. No one I really know on that card. It was promoted by Jamie Meyer. Good man, Jamie Meyer. It's always done really good things up on the Gold Coast. I'm not sure I've ever told the story of back in the day, and I get on really well with Jamie now, by the way, but we did some sparring back in the day. I'm from Victoria, but I lived on the Gold Coast for 12 months, trained up there with Julian Holland and a few other guys. Had a great time up there and learned a lot, really furthered my career up there, and I actually went down and sparred with Jamie Meyer at his gym. I think it wasn't Broadbeach. Where was it? It wasn't Broadbeach. Anyway, it was around Tweedhead. Was it Tweedhead? Wherever it was. It was somewhere up here on the Gold Coast. And I went to spar him and we went at it. And he sort of lost his composure, let's just say, at one stage. And he actually grabbed me and wrestled me to the ground, and it proceeded into a street fight, rolling around on the canvas. And we had a laugh about it at the Hall of Fame dinner. Was it last year or the year before? I still remember it. He did remember it as well, but he was a big boy too. I was thinking I was a welterweight. I think he might have been a light heavyweight or something at the time. But as I said, we had a good laugh about it. I don't know how the hell I actually got onto that, by the way, Big J, because we're talking about Tawana Campbell here. But yeah, good on her. Good on her for winning that WIBA belt. Not sure whether Shannon O'Connell might have won that as well, but definitely in good company there with Serrano. Sharon Anyos did some rounds with her back in the day as well. And no wonder they called her the Wild Thing. She was very, very tough fighter. And Beck Hawker, of course. I hope she's doing well in retirement as well. So good on Tawana Campbell. All right, still with Big J. Unfortunately, until the Facebook post, I never even heard of this woman. Yep, it was held on the Jamie Meyer card. Yeah, I'd heard of her, Big J, but I don't think I'd seen her fight. I'll actually just have a look at her. So just trying to see who she's fought that I might have seen her before. She fought Deanna or Dee Hobbs. I reckon I saw her fight. Might have been that one against Angel Rushton in April last year, I reckon. She actually lost that fight. Was it that one? I don't know, whatever. But it could have been. Anyway, but again, congratulations to her. But, look, it's boxing media, Big J. There's a bit going on at the moment. A lot of people have got a fair bit happening, but yeah, let's hope the girls get a bit more coverage. Ticket bought for Crawford. Can't wait till Thursday. Also from Big J. Yeah, well, as I said, he touched down this morning, and if you're in Melbourne, that dinner's on Thursday the 29th, so this week. So yeah, get your ticket. I think there's still some available online. So yeah, get on the $500 a piece. And if you can't get to the dinner, I'm not quite sure what they're charging at the gyms, but I know he's at the Ellis gym, well, the Team Ellis gym, but also the HitFit Ellis gym in Melton as well. So again, and I think Hammer's gym as well. So anyway, check their socials out and you'll get all the details. But massive for Australia, for Australian boxing. Tassie said they've been inundated with requests for interviews and all this sort of stuff. And quite rightly so, he's making them earn it. The mainstream media, of course, but he's been very protective. I think as he should. There might be some people out there that disagree and say, well, hang on, it's a free country, let him come. But I know for a fact how much it's cost Tassie to bring him out here. So I'm all for recouping that money and making a nice little slice of money on the side as well. It is a business that he's running, his promotional business, and this falls under that umbrella. So I hope he sells all the tables and all that at his event and makes a killing out of it, because he's gone out of his way to make this happen with Terence Crawford coming out here. And without Tassie, he wouldn't be here. So let's hope he cashes in on it, does Tassie Brown. All right, Asbot. Evening all. Off topic. What's happening in Melbourne nowadays? Sounds like it's going over the edge a bit, turning into the hood. Yeah, well, I think we're there, Asbot. If you didn't know over the weekend, I'm sure if you watch the news, you'll be all over it. Just a normal Saturday or Sunday afternoon here in Melbourne. Just, a team of, not a team, I suppose they are a team, aren't they? Just a gang of hoods, gang members with a pre-arranged catch up at the local shopping mall. Yeah, we're gonna catch up and rumble. We'll book it all in. We won't do it out in a field or somewhere like that where the only people that will get hurt are the idiots that are in the gangs. No, we'll do it in a shopping centre, in the food court, by the way, and have everyone running for cover and getting locked in shops. It's ridiculous. But Asbot, now I won't spend too much time on this, by the way, because if I get going, you won't shut me up. But Jacinta Allen comes out today, our mighty premier, and says, I'm on it. We're going to ban the sales of machetes. That'll do it. That'll show them. We'll ban the sale of machetes. They can't buy them, legally anyway. That'll stop the whole problem. Anyway, on to the next subject, she'll say. And you might say, well, why do you stay there? Well, it's my home. I've lived here all my life. I love where we live. I'm not in Melbourne. I'm about 40 minutes out of Melbourne. But, yeah, I don't know what direction we're heading at the moment, Asbot. I just remember going to Melbourne. I used to love it. I used to live in Bendigo, which is an hour and a half now. I'm only 40 minutes away, but it was a massive day, an adventure to go to Melbourne and see all the sights, go to the markets down there and the football and the concerts, all that sort of stuff. You won't get me down there at the moment, Asbot. It is a shithole. And who runs shitholes these days? Oh, that's right, the governments. Anyway, let's move on to some boxing. You asked, Asbot, by the way. Sure, everyone's got their own opinions. All right, Running Amok 1989. I like the name, mate. And if it's your first time here, thanks for the commenting. With the promoters having these terribly matched cards, it's only going to get less tickets sold, and MMA is going to continue to swallow boxing in popularity. Just look at YouTube views and pay-per-view numbers. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the numbers are. I'll call you Muck. I'm not quite sure what the numbers are with the UFC there, mate. I'm assuming they're pretty good. Massive numbers that watch the UFC, and look, Dana White and the whole UFC organisation, they just do it better than anyone. It's like I always sort of liken it to the real life sort of WWE. They run it like WWE, but obviously it's for real. Wrestling's entertainment. I'm not going to offend all those living in their mum's basement at the moment. It's entertainment. That's why it's called World Wrestling Entertainment. Okay, UFC's for real. So there's a difference, but it's run like the WWE, which is why it's run so well. Dana White, just the master at what he does at marketing, bringing the fighters up. Look, it really does help Muck that all the best fighters are under one umbrella and they have full control. This is the difference. This is why boxing is just like the Wild West. Always has been. And unfortunately, even though they're bringing in this TKO boxing, whatever it's going to be called, it always will be. I think we can all agree on that. It'll only work when all the biggest fighters in the world all go under that umbrella, which means all the biggest promoters from other companies all have to fall over, which they're not. Do you really think Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya and Frank Warren and Bob Arum, well, Bob Arum, unfortunately, might have too much longer left, but his company isn't going anywhere. Do you really think they're just going to just hand in the keys and say, oh, geez, sorry about that, I'll just move on and do something else? Not going to happen. So while that continues to happen, it will continue to be as unpredictable and corrupted, you name it. That's what boxing is. I do envy the MMA Muck or the UFC because they've done it really well. They really have. They continue to do it really well. The terribly matched cards. Well, I don't think. Well, look, the lesser light cards are always going to be a little bit that way. When you got promoters who just doesn't really matter who they match up, who against, they're just looking to fill the card and get wins to their fighters, all that sort of stuff. The ticket sellers, they just want to get them wins, and that's fine. But the bigger cards, I think we're not doing too bad. I think in that aspect, boxing has actually improved. Now, I've been very vocal about this, I don't like the Saudi cards. I don't like Turki Al Sheikh pretty much having the monopoly on boxing now. I don't like it. Well, do you think he actually has a monopoly? I think it's just starting to maybe go the other way, but we'll see. But I don't like all that. But what I can say is, though, is that at least the cards have been well matched, competitive. I can't really say too much about the local shows here all around Australia and even around the world and the smaller locations. But yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the terribly matched cards. I think they've been okay. Tickets sold. Well, I don't think you can sort of begrudge what's happening in boxing at the moment, running amok. I think in Saudi Arabia it might be a little bit different. They don't get many over there, but it's just pretty much a crowd full of his mates and VIPs over there, isn't it? I think the crowds in Vegas and New York and everything are still pretty good from what I've seen. And the pay-per-views, when there's a big fight on, don't worry, they come out of the hill. So, look, I agree with you with a lot you're saying. There's a lot wrong with boxing at the moment. I don't think it's as bad as what you're saying there. And especially, look, the only thing I'll say, and I've always been pretty vocal about this as well, and I'm not trying to bash UFC. I'm not a UFC fan, but I respect it. I respect the fighters. The fans are a little bit different to boxing fans, and that's fine. That's cool. But one thing I will say, when there's a massive boxing fight, it's like UFC who. That's the way I sort of see it. You watch Canelo and Crawford in September, that will absolutely bury the UFC Noche on that night. It will bury it. If we get Tyson Fury and Joshua back, when that's on pay-per-view, or bury any other UFC or MMA event that night. So while I think boxing has a lot of issues, a lot of problems, and UFC is leading it a merry dance with what it's doing, I still think when boxing has a massive event, it still is the biggest sport between the two. So anyway, we could agree to disagree as much as we want, I suppose. Another one from Running Amok. I hate to say it, but Richardson will dominate George. George will be eating jabs all night and just be swinging at air. He's way too slick and has very significant 6-inch reach advantage over him. Yeah, look, I do agree with you there, Running Amok. I think it's going to be tough. George will give it all he's got. if I'm being honest, though, I almost see a repeat of the Haney fights. And I don't want to say that. I really hope George gets the win. Different style to Vasily Lomachenko. He's just, he's just a dominant type of fighter, isn't he? With his speed and reflexes and footwork and his angles and all that sort of stuff. I can see that Richardson Hitchens will probably box George the same way Devon did and just get a really dull 12-round decision win. George will try and push the fight all night. He'll put the pressure on. I just think I'm with you there, Muck, that Richardson might be a bit too slick. When you say dominate, I'm not going to say he dominates to the point where he might stop him or anything like that. I think he'll just win the rounds. He'll just run and box and jab and tie George up, and George will be trying all night, as he always does. And I just think, Richardson Hitchens will win a clear decision, but it won't be easy. George will come to fight, but it's difficult seeing George winning, mate. I agree with that. All right, we've got a few from you there. Hang on, we'll get through them quickly. I wasn't too impressed with Sam Goodman a few weeks back. He doesn't have star power about him. He should be putting guys like Vaca away if he wants to make a statement at Super Bantam. The problem is, though, he's not a big puncher. And look, I will give him credit, Sam. On the night, he did push the fight. He was trying to make the fight with Vaca, who was the one who was backing off and jabbing and not really wanting to engage. So the problem is that even though Sam was pushing the pace, unfortunately, he just hasn't got pop in his punches. He's only had a handful of knockouts in his wins. Not to say you got to be a big puncher to be successful, but I just worry, like probably a lot of you out there, I just worry that if he does get that opportunity against Naoya Inoue, whether he's got any hope of keeping Inoue off him, because Inoue is going to come after him. And if Sam gets on the back foot and tries the box, which I think would be a smart option, I don't think he's going to try and take Inoue head on. I just worry that he's just not going to be strong enough and have the power and strength and pretty much everything to keep Inoue off him. But star power, who knows? He's not really, I won't say he's not likable. I mean, he's a likable type of guy. He's a battler. The problem is he's in a small weight division. He's not an exciting fighter, and he doesn't really get a lot of exposure from the media. I mean, you look back with someone like a Jeff Fennick who was in the same weight division. He was an entertainer. He did have that star power about him, and the media just loved him, and we're all over him. Even when we didn't have social media, he was a national superstar. So, yeah, I don't know. Well, if he beats Inoue running amok, well, he's going to be a superstar then, isn't he? He's going to definitely have star power. Then he's going to have everyone all over him. But let's hope he gets that opportunity anyway. What's that? Unfortunately, most smaller promoters here have gone back to their ways before COVID of matching a side with useless international opponents. It's like WWE, you know the outcome before the fight starts. Yeah, I do agree with that. Running amok on the smaller shows, yeah, definitely. I was just about to say, I don't really want to single anyone out, but there's a card coming up with our old mate Joel Kamakeo. He's on there against another, where's he from? Tanzania. I don't like it. I mean, how many guesses do you need to wonder how that fight's going to go? It's got first or second round knockout all over it. And I really like Joel, I do, but I've got to call out things like this when I see it. And I always say I will never say anything on here that I wouldn't be prepared to say to someone's face, and that's probably I'd say to Joel, hey mate, you can do better. You're 35 years old or something like that, mate. Just you can do better. I know you want to hold on for the payday, and I get that, but you're not doing yourself any favors by just wasting the years of your career by fighting Tanzanians. You're just not. And I have seen a few ties sneak through. The tie that was on, and this is the disturbing thing they're running amok. It was on the No Limit show. That tie that fought Jazzy Parr, absolutely disgraceful. And I've said they should have been absolutely embarrassed by that fight on their card. Should have No Limit. I know it was on the prelim card, but it doesn't matter. That was the free portion of it. And yeah, I was horrified seeing that, mate. And I've said, why bother with the fight at all? Just don't bother putting the fight on. A waste of everyone's time, especially the viewers. All right. Eminem, who has the better resume so far, Huni or Wardley? I crunched some numbers today. Huni 12-0 with opponents record adding up to 130, 14 and 8. Wardley 18-0 with opponents record 230, 150, and 14. So what is that as far as win-loss ratios? What is it, about 60? What is it, 60% or something? Hang on, let me work that out. Divided by 230, 35%. So 65% win rate. And, well, it's a lot better for Huni, isn't it? So, look, I don't really get too stressed about resumes, Eminem. Look, I think you'd have to say Wardley, wouldn't you? I couldn't really look at Justice Huni's record and say that he's beaten anyone remotely resembling a world-class fighter, where Wardley, I mean, not that he has either, but I haven't got it up at the moment. But, I would probably say Wardley. But having said that, I still think that Justice Huni can get the job done over Wardley, was it 2 weeks' time? So, all right, speaking on Huni, says Eminem, Jackson Murray's fighting Huni's opponent from December, the Argentine Robody, June 13. Is that right? That's got to be another wide bother fight, doesn't it? Hang on, let me have a look. I want to check that out. I'll bring Justice up and see his record. When was that? December, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So he went 2 rounds with Justice Huni. That's the guy. Now I remember him. So what is Jackson Murray getting out of this fight? Now that card, that was that was the Christmas card. Yep, that's right. So is that on the? Yes, it is there. Let's have a look at the event. What card is that? Oh, it's in Argentina, is it? No, hang on. Is it? It is. It's in Argentina. There you go. I thought I was seeing things there. So Jackson Murray, 7-0, is fighting Leandro Robody, who's 11-7. Why are they fighting in Argentina? I suppose he's an Argentinian fighter, but wouldn't you think if he was an Argentinian fighter, they'd bring out someone that he would easily beat? Anyway, yeah, well, there you go. Good pick up there, Eminem. And, I think over in Argentina, it would probably be a lot more competitive than what it would be here. So you'd think that Jackson Murray should still get the win, though. There's Glenn in the chat. What do you got in store for us this week, Glenn? Any further insults for our man Canelo? You always get stuck into him. Who else can you insult tonight? Let us have it. All right, Cal Jane, evening. We survived the floods to make another show. Woohoo. Good stuff. Yeah, I really feel for you guys up there, Cal. Hope you are all doing well up there. It's just that time of year, isn't it? It's either droughts or it's floods or something, isn't it? So, yeah, all the best to you up there, Cal. It's that Big J. How much does the average fighter earn in a fight like the smaller shows that you used to run? It used to be back in the day, Big J, it was $300 a round. So if you did a 4-rounder, you'd get $1,200. The big problem is, though, these days, is that 10 years after I did my first show, fighters are still getting paid that amount. And look at the cost of living that's gone up in that time. It's not right. I won't name promoters, but there are some that just blatantly rip off their fighters and just prey on the fact that the guys want to fight. These fighters that sell a lot of tickets, like the way it used to work, BJ, is that even with the prelim fighters, it would be $300 a round, but then it would be percentage of tickets sold. So if someone sold 200 tickets, they'd get I can't even remember what it was, to be honest, but it might be 10%, 15%, whatever it might be, of all the tickets they sold. So the main event would be it was sort of negotiable, I suppose. But if you had a main event, say it was someone like a Joel Kamakeo and they're fighting a 10-rounder, they might get anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 guaranteed, and then they get percentages as well, which would be a little bit higher. So it just varies. When it comes to your main event or your co-main, whatever it might be, I think it just comes down to negotiations. It depends what fighters on there, how many tickets they'll sell, how many tables, all that sort of stuff. But for your normal prelim fighter on the undercard, it's normally about $300 a round. You'd think by now it should be $400 a round. I'm not quite sure what other promoters out there are paying, but that's you'd think that would be the minimum these days. Would be $400 a round. All right, Eminem. Apparently Moses Itama will fight on the Usyk Dubois card. Yeah, I did see something about that, Eminem. Bacoli was there in attendance and he's in camp. Could that fight be next? Well, they're talking about either Bacoli or Hrgovic Zhang was raised as well. There was someone else. Who was it? I can't remember who it was. There was someone else that was raised as well. But, yeah, look, he's only a young guy. Look, the heavyweight division at the moment, I think, is so shallow, that Moses Otama I'd back him to beat, probably 75% of the division. The top 25%. Look, and don't forget, too, he's very, very unproven. I know we're all getting excited about him, and we're all talking about Moses Otama. He's going to do this, and he's going to be better than Tyson. Well, from what I've seen so far, he's nothing on what Mike Tyson was. And until he fights someone with a pulse, we're not going to know. So Bakole would be okay, but geez, the way Bakole fights, just that stand-up style, like a big Frankenstein, isn't he? He doesn't bend the knees; he just stands upright and just lets the punches come from the fences or from the cheap seats up the back. Just a sitting duck from Moses Otama. So I think out of all of them, I did say on my Walking Boxing episode this morning that maybe Herkovich would probably give him a good fight, although he's still very vulnerable, to getting cut down. Zhang would be big and tough, but they've all got one thing in common, and they're just big guys who stand in front of you and can be hit. So maybe that's why they're targeting those guys. I think anyone with a bit of movement, a bit of ring smarts, ring IQ could give him some problems, but none of those guys would do that. But then at the end of the day as well, he's only, 21 or 22, so still plenty. Actually, might even be younger, is he? 20, 21? So he's got plenty of time, but any of those guys, I think he'd ice. Glenn Lynden, you're going to the Hall of Fame in Brisbane, aren't you? If so, look forward to meeting you. The Hall of Fame in Brisbane. No. Is that where the Hall of Fame is this year, Glenn? It's normally in Melbourne. Let me just have a look. I got an invitation to that the other day, and I didn't even take any notice. Let me have a look. 2000, there it is, 30th of August. It is. It's in Brisbane. There you go. I didn't know that, Glenn. I was planning to go. It was in Melbourne. I'll have to check and see if I can get up to Brisbane there, Glenn. But if I do, mate, yeah, it would be great to meet you there for sure. I will look into that. I didn't even realise it was in Brisbane, which is a good thing. The Hall of Fame should go around the country. That's great. It's always in Melbourne. I know most of the people that run it are based in Melbourne, but I love the fact that they're going to take it to Brisbane. That's awesome. I'll see what I can do, Glenn. If I do get it, mate, it would be awesome to meet you. All right, Glenn, on a different note, Josh Taylor needs to retire. He's done enough, and there's nothing left to prove. Yeah, he looked really sluggish, didn't he, Glenn? I was talking about this to D-Style this morning, and yeah, he looks like a fighter that's washed. He does. He started off okay. He looked like sort of a little bit of the Josh Taylor of old. He had a crack. He really nice, crisp, fast punches, but it didn't last long. And as the rounds went on, he just looked slower and slower and slower. And unfortunately, it comes to us all, doesn't it? Father Time tapped him on the shoulder, or has tapped him on the shoulder and said, mate, I think your time is up. So when you lose into a guy like that, who will probably be world ranked now, but I think Liam Smithy was more, he sort of saw him as more European level. Yeah, I think he needs to retire. It's unfortunate. He's been a good fighter, former undisputed champion, but it comes to us all, or to them all, and now is the time for Josh Taylor, I think, mate. Eminem, great discussion with D-Style this morning. Cooper O'Connell, what are No Limit doing? They should be backing him. Yeah, well, if you didn't see it, D-Style just sort of brought up what is happening with Cooper O'Connell. Now, if you don't know, he's fighting on the 21st of June up near, it's not in Newcastle, I think it's just out of Newcastle on a small sort of show up there. And I'm sort of scratching my head thinking, why? Why would they bother putting him on that card? You've got the Liam Paro, Liam Wilson card, 4 days later? You've signed him. I think, have they signed him? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the issue. They haven't actually signed him yet. It's now I'll just say that it's just sort of sprung with. They haven't actually signed him, so maybe they don't owe him anything. But the fact that he's an amateur world champion, a youth world champion, they say they're putting everything into the Australian boxing scene, and I would have thought they'd be all over Cooper O'Connell to sign him up and get him on these cards. He should not be fighting in front of probably 200 or 300 people up near Newcastle. He should be fighting on TV. They should be getting behind him. Better yet, put him on one of the cards and have Shannon O'Connell on there as well. The amount of media publicity they would get out of that would just money can't buy. Having a mother and son on the same card, I don't know what they're doing with Eminem. First of all, why they haven't signed him. And two, even if they haven't signed him, just by putting him on the card and showing him some faith in him and strengthening the cards. I mean, I said this morning they'll roll out probably a lot of the same old fighters they roll out who aren't world class and never will be. And you've got a potential young superstar in Cooper O'Connell that is going to be fighting in front of 200 or 300 people. I don't understand it, Eminem, but D-Style was the same. He's obviously a fan of Cooper as well. But look, he's got, I think, what it takes. He can fight. I mean, that'll play out over the journey, whether he has what it takes. But he's very marketable. He's a good-looking young kid. He can fight. Probably needs to work on his public speaking and all that sort of stuff, but not unlike a lot of young fighters coming up. So I just think they're really missing the boat with this Eminem, and for the life of me, can't understand why they haven't signed him and aren't putting him up in lights. They've got Callum Peters on the card. They've got Kira Rushton on the card. Geez, that card would be looking pretty good if they could put Cooper O'Connell on there. He's not going to cost them a lot, so don't know, mate. Your guess is as good as mine. Moses certainly looks the goods. I'd match him with someone like a Franklin before stepping up to the bigger names. Yeah, as I said, Glenn, he looks like he's got the goods, but until he shows he's got the goods, we won't know. As I said before, like, he's being compared to Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson was bowling everyone over at this age and won the title. Of course, it was he 20 years of age, I think he was, 20 years and 10 months or something like that, or 4 months, whatever it might have been. But he did prove himself against the best fighters Mike Tyson did. So far, Moses Otama hasn't fought anybody. So until he does that, the jury's out. I haven't got an opinion of him until I see him fight just anybody that has the ability to maybe fight back. Still with Glenn, before I forget, go the Blues Wednesday night. The state of origin, yes. Queensland and New South Wales. That's come around quick, hasn't it? So if you're in the Bendigo area, by the way, we're going to put it on at the pub and make a big deal of it. We'll have all the streamers and balloons and all that sort of stuff we'll put up. If you want to come down and watch it on the big 100-inch screen, come on down. $5 pies, $7 schooners. Let's go. And who am I going for? I wouldn't have a clue, to be honest, Glenn. I don't know. Just for you, I'll say New South Wales. I don't know. Normally, I actually do go for who are they? Queensland. What are they? The New South Wales are the Cockroaches. What are Queenslanders again? No, are they the Cockroaches? Cane Toads. The Cane Toads up there. What names are both states? The Cane Toads up against the Cockroaches. Is that a compliment or an insult? I don't know. What are we in Victoria? I think we're just the Big V. The most dullest nickname of all time, isn't it? The Big V. There you go. Maybe we need to think of something. All right, there's Batman. Good morning. Good morning to you too there, mate. Jules, how are you getting on making flight hotel arrangement for Fundora versus Zoo? When can we expect an official announcement for those looking to head over? I will be going over for the Fundora Zoo fight, Jules, but I'm not sure whether this will be the fight. Unless we can arrange something. If people want to go, I can arrange it. But the problem is I'm going to New York first. Okay, so maybe if that's what everyone wanted to do, they could probably come. But I'm going to go to flying from Melbourne to Dallas to New York down to Albuquerque, and then from Albuquerque to Las Vegas from there. So maybe if people wanted to come on my little tour, you could do that. But I'm looking for the first one, probably being Canelo and Crawford, Jules. But again, if people it does probably make sense that it's Tim Zoo to go over for. So maybe we could make that happen. But I'd probably need to have numbers. As far as costing goes for this fight, the Fundora Zoo fight, I think I did some sums the other day. Flights are on sale at the moment. I'm pretty sure it ends tomorrow. And I'm not quite sure what they will be after that. These are the Qantas flights I'm talking about. If it's not Qantas, it'd have to be Air New Zealand or someone like that. So I'd be going via Auckland, which can be a bit of a pain, but they are pretty cheap. I think I did the sums on that, and I reckon you could probably get out at that one would probably cost about $6,000. That includes flights, accommodation, and the ticket. A little bit more if you came with me to the other side. So I did book everything for the flights, Jules, before I decided to do these boxing tours. If I had a thought of the boxing tours and decided to go with it before booking the flights, this fight would definitely be the first one we'd be going to. But I'd already decided to go to New York as well. So anyway, if you wanted to do that, that would be quite more expensive. You might be looking upwards of around sort of 10 for that, I would say, or would it? No, it wouldn't actually. Be probably about 7 or 8, I think it would be. So anyway, the hotels in Vegas aren't too bad. I don't know, the middle of July, by the way, which is another reason why it's expensive, because it's the middle of their summer. Everyone goes to Vegas to chill, well, not to chill, do anything but chill, but to go there while it's hot, get around the pools, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, at this stage, Jules, it's probably more likely going to be Canelo and Crawford. I've done some sums on that, and not as expensive as you might think. What did I say? It's probably going to cost you between 5 and 6 for that one, for the Canelo and Crawford card. So I will let you know more as we get closer. Let me know who's interested, by the way. And the way it will work too, by the way, guys, before I move on, there will be a time limit. It'll be, right, this is the period. You've got until this date to let me know. You need to let me know all your details, where you're flying from, so I can get it all organised and come back to you. I think I did say all flights are ex-Melbourne. If you decide to come from Brisbane, no drama. I just need to factor that in. Coming from Sydney, whatever, whether we meet in Sydney or we go ex-Melbourne, whatever it might be, I just need to know everyone's details so I can plan, get it all done. When tickets go on sale for the fight, so I can be ready to pounce, all this sort of stuff. So there will be a time. That's the one thing you can be certain of, Jules. There'll be plenty, well, I won't say plenty of time, but there will be a time period where I'll say, right, this is the cutoff. This is what it's going to cost. Let's go. All right, Naz. I know he hasn't fought anyone yet, but I'm on the Tawana train, 12-0 in just over 2 years of fighting. Great hand speed, footwork, power, and knocking guys out off the back foot. His ceiling is high. Yeah, the ceiling is high, Naz. Make no mistake about that. And you're right, he hasn't fought anyone. Look, on the surface, he looks like he's going to be a player. Don't worry about that. But I just want to see him in there with someone that can at least punch back, and we just haven't seen it yet. All right, Eminem. Boxing deep dive tours is a great idea. Got me wondering, how many fight nights have you been to in Vegas, Lynden? Oh, geez. A lot. In Vegas, probably 20, I would say, over the journey. Started back in 2009. Was my first fight I went to, was Manny Pacquiao and Ricky Hatton. I can quickly go through them if you want. It was, so it was Pacquiao and Hatton in 2009. 2010 was Mayweather Mosley. 2011 was Pacquiao Mosley. 2012 was Mayweather Cotto, Pacquiao Bradley 1, and Pacquiao Marquez 4. 2013 was Mayweather Guerrero, Mayweather Canelo. 2014 were the two Mayweather Maidana fights. 2015 was the Mayweather Berto fight. 2016 was Canelo and Khan. 2017 was Canelo Triple G 1. 2018 was Horn Crawford and Canelo Triple G 2. Excuse me. What did I say? 2019 was Canelo and Jacobs. 2022 was Canelo Triple G 3. 23 was in, where was it? In Stockton, which was Jason Maloney and Astrolabio, but as well as Andrew fighting on the undercard of Lomachenko and Haney. What else was in 23? Oh, George and Maxie Hughes and Spence and Crawford. Did I say 20? I don't know. I've got no idea if that's up to about 20 as we speak. And then in 24 was the Canelo and Belunga fight. So, and Zoo Fundora as well. So I've been to a few. I hope I've rattled them all off there and haven't forgotten any. But that's about it, Eminem. I've been to a few. But to answer your question there, was that, how many nights? Yeah. No, I appreciate the faith there, mate. And look, if you want to come along, all it is just coming along for the ride with me. I'll just give you the amount. I'll book everything for you. I'll get all your details. You don't have to worry about a thing. I'll organise your visas, transportation, you name it, and it'll all be included. All you got to do is turn up and come along for the ride and have a really good trip with everyone else. I'm hoping we might get 5, 6, 7 people, and all people like you guys and girls out there that maybe haven't got someone to come with, you're more than welcome to bring as many as you want. But I think it's more designed for the fight fans out there that maybe don't have anyone to come or to go over with, who always have had it on the bucket list. This is your opportunity to come along, and I really want to show you all the sights of Vegas, go to the gyms, just show you, give you a list of stuff that I think you can do, and the rest is up to you while you're there. I just want to give you the same experience I've been really lucky enough to have over the last, 16 years. Cal, has anyone heard who Thurman's going to fight? Well, still lots of rumours on that, Cal. They're all talking about maybe Murtazaliov and who else was it? Who else did I see? They were talking him fighting the other. Spence, I think, came up as well. Errol Spence, of all people. And I wouldn't be surprised if he never comes back, Errol Spence, but that name come up there as well. Richard, any news at all with Jai Pataya? He just can't get on a roll and seems to be on a waiting game with him all the time. Well, he's fighting in 2 weeks, Richard, so he's on a roll. It's his second fight for the year, so I think he's on a roll. The problem is that he wants to fight Zerto Ramirez at the end of the year, and it looks like maybe Ramirez wants to fight David Benavides. The big plus with that, though, is that Opataya or Jai would probably fight the winner. One of the biggest fights in boxing at the moment. It'd be massive. Drew, sad to see the skyrocket career of Josh Taylor come to such an abrupt end over the past couple of years. Not sure his style was meant for longevity. Yeah, for a tall, sort of rangy type of fighter, Drew, he's always sort of got himself in wars, hasn't he? But yeah, look, as I said, mate, it comes to us all. All the good fighters out there, it comes to them. So, look, he's had a really good run at it. He's a former undisputed champion, so he'll be fine. I'm sure he's made plenty of money, and I think he's, unfortunately, even judging by his comments after the fight, it's going to be a bit of a rough sort of time for him to accept that his time is over. But, yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll be a personality, the sort of guy that could be a commentator or whatever it might be. So I'm sure it's not all lost for Josh Taylor, who's been a very, very good fighter. Naz says Jermaine Taylor would be a good one for Moses to get some rounds. He took Sullivan, White, and AJ at the distance. Yeah, could be Naz. Dillian, yeah, I was just going to say Jermaine Taylor, wasn't he a super middleweight? And middleweight? Yeah, Dillian White. Yeah, I think Dillian White, I was just going to say he might be a step too far at the moment, Naz, but he's at the end of his career too, isn't he? He can be a bit of a boogeyman type of fighter, can Dillian White. So I would say not quite yet. I would definitely rather Moses go for maybe a Hrgovic, Zhang, or Bacoli. I think they're a lot easier marks than Dillian White. I'm going to say Jermaine Taylor. I wasn't aware he was fighting at heavyweight. Jermaine Franklin, Glenn says, Glenn, yeah, good call. Thanks, Glenn, for fixing that up. Richard, Dana White controls the ship at UFC. Also, other promotions have had trouble competing at a high level. It's UFC or nothing for a lot of the fighters unless for the bare knuckle stuff. Yeah, well, look, he has got a monopoly, Richard, and that's probably why a lot of the fighters complain about the purses that he gives them. But when you that's in comparison to boxing, of course, but by all accounts, if it wasn't for boxing, they'd be quite happily remunerated. But I've always said too, like with the UFC, like if they have one of the numbered ones, the big events they do, compare it to, say, a Canelo fight. They have similar pay-per-view numbers. They have similar crowds. They charge similar amount of money for the tickets. Why does Canelo walk away with $50, $60 million and the UFC fighters get paid peanuts? We know why. We know where the money's going. But for all those people, I suppose, that say how well UFC is going, well, maybe that's probably one area they need to improve, because at least boxers get paid. As a motley crew, the boxing world is, at least the fighters get paid at the top level. You can't say the same for UFC fighters. When can we expect Andrew Maloney's announcement? I did see today, and I have known about this for a while, but I think I did see it reported today on the Herald Sun website. So the fact that they have reported it, I'm going to mention as well. He's got the eliminator against, what was his name? I'll bring his name up here. All right, where are we? Superfly. All right, it's an eliminator against, where's his name there? You reckon I can find his name? Oh, RG Cortez. That's him. So he's ranked number 5 with the IBF. Andrew's number 6. So that will be now. Can someone please explain how this works in the IBF in the super flyweight division? The champion is Wilibaldo Garcia. Fair enough. That's cool. Haven't seen a lot of him. The number 1 ranked position is not rated. The number 2 ranked position is not rated. The number 3 position is vacant. So we've got to go right down to the number 4 ranked guy, Rene Bibiano, who I don't know much about either, who's ranked number 4. Cortez is 5. Andrew is number 6. So why do that with the top 3 rankings? Why not have Rene Bibiano as the number 1 ranked contender, Cortez 2, and Andrew Maloney 3? How can you have not rated and vacant positions in your ratings? I don't understand it. I don't get it, especially with they bring in Manny Pacquiao into the number 5 position from nowhere. Moses Otama is the number 1 ranked WBO contender at heavyweight and hasn't fought anybody. I don't understand it. But anyway, to answer your question there, Eminem, it will be very, very soon. I would say it might even be this week. So Cortez and Andrew Maloney will fight for, I suppose, the number 1 ranking in the IBF. Because I think, was it the 2, where is it? The 2 Mexicans were going to fight for the vacant belt. Although, Willie Baldo, did he win that belt, did he? Garcia. Let me have a look. Sorry to hold you up here, guys. Willie Baldo Garcia. All right, let's have a look. The Mexican. So he must have won it. When did he win it? Oh, there you go. A couple of days ago. I was going to say I hadn't heard that he'd won the fight. So, yes. So, all right. So, Willie Baldo Garcia Perez from Mexico won the IBF belt. He'd had the draw. Sorry, Willie Baldo Perez. Oh, yeah. So, he fought Bibiano and beat him a couple of days ago for the belt. And before that, they had the draw. Okay. So, Bibiano, this is what will happen. Bibiano now, having lost that fight to Garcia, even though he's ranked at number 4, I would say he will go down the rankings and Cortez and Andrew Maloney will fight for the number 1 ranking. And then they will have to fight the winner. So, and Andrew's very confident he'll be able to beat RG Cortez. So, massive opportunity for Andrew. It was a really tough year for him last year, as we all know. This could be the year where he could get at least one more crack at the world title. And look, if it doesn't happen, I'm sure he could happily walk away, but that will be his opponent there. There will be RG Cortez, but I just don't know when. Now, Andrew still is ranked, not ranked with the WBA, but he's ranked 3 with the WBC and not ranked with the WBO. Number 4 with the WBO. All right, so he's in the top 4 of all 3 sanctioning bodies apart from the WBA. So at some stage, he'll get a world title shot. At some stage. Where are we? Glenn. I think the UFC is pretty ordinary now. Lack of personalities, and the big one for me that John Jones is allowed to blatantly, do his things to Aspinall. Says it all. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, Glenn. I wouldn't have a clue, mate. So you're... comments about John Jones, I can't comment because I don't know. One thing I do know is I appreciate Andy in the chat. How are you there, mate? Thanks for the $10. What do you got there, mate? Sorry I'm late. Got carried away tinkering around at home after work. Congratulations to all the winners over the weekend. Smash that like button. Yes, for sure, mate. Thank you very much. Where are we? Do we actually believe Tyson Fury is staying retired? I don't, Eminem. Well, I did see his social media stuff the other day, him saying he was happily retired. Why would he come back as he panned the nice ocean or whatever it was, or lake, whatever it was he was in front of? But the fact that he was in the gym the other week training and looked in pretty good condition and putting up that post in the gym with his trainer, Sugar Hill, well, what are we supposed to think? And him saying, well, why would I come back? Pretty much questioning why we'd be questioning. Well, you're the one putting the videos on social media. You're the one in the gym training with Sugar Hill saying big things are coming. So why shouldn't everyone get excited? Now, I did comment the other day on Walking Boxing. My thing with Tyson Fury is I think he'll be back. And the reason I think he'll be back, not to fight maybe the winner of Usyk and Dubois or whoever it might be, it's got to be Anthony Joshua, because if he doesn't fight Anthony Joshua, I think it will haunt him till the day he dies, because it's not like circumstances haven't allowed the fight to happen, and whatever reason there has been, it just hasn't been able to take place, and both fighters will probably regret it for whatever reasons, but they can move on. But at the moment, Anthony Joshua is actively saying, I want to fight Tyson Fury, so it's all on Tyson. So if he doesn't take the fight, he's going to have to live with that forever, that he's the one that didn't want the fight to happen. Not a mutual thing or a circumstances thing. Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn have both said, hey, we're back in December. We're ready to go with Tyson Fury. Let's do it. So I just think, and I think we all know Tyson Fury well enough to know that he's not going to be able to have that on his conscience for the rest of his life. I've got a feeling that come maybe July, August, whatever it might be, you'll see the Gypsy King start to just maybe tease us with a few more posts, and then maybe in September we might get that fight announcement and they fight in December. We will see. Because when did they fight last time? That was December as well, his last fight with Usyk. So no big deal to fight Joshua in December of this year. It's only 12 months. It's nothing for a fight of his experience and age to have a year off. So that's the fight I'm thinking of anyway. We'll see. Glenn agrees. He'll be back. Shadow boxer. I've never believed a word Fury has ever said. No, he's hard to take seriously sometimes, isn't he, mate? That's for sure. Drew, I'm starting to think Turkey might be getting buyer's remorse on his initial endorsement of Dana White. Well, it's gone awfully quiet, Drew. This is the problem, or this is the intriguing thing. The big announcement came. Dana White is going to head up this TKO boxing, or whatever they're going to call it. He's going to promote the Crawford and Canelo fight, and it's going to be massive, and I've got all the faith in Dana White, and we're going to do this and going to do that. In the meantime, you've got Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn not bothered by it whatsoever. That should have probably been the first red flags. They weren't stressed at all. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, well, I'll either work with Turkey or I won't work with him. No drama. I'll keep doing what I'm doing, whatever. They weren't stressed. So I got a feeling they knew that maybe that this wasn't going to last. Maybe. But just as fast as it happened, it was just as fast it was over. And there's been no official statement from anyone, especially Dana White, as far as I know. If he has, let me know if you've seen anything. I don't sort of, again, follow what's happening with the UFC side of things. But if you said anything, well, I haven't seen it. But wouldn't you have thought that, first of all, what was Dana White even thinking of taking on the event when he's got the UFC Noche on the same night, same weekend? Is it same night? Whatever it is, same weekend. One of the biggest events for the year on the same night as Canelo and Crawford. Remember last year, Turkey was actually in on that, wasn't he? And I remember him saying, we're going to bury Canelo's event, and they're the ones that actually got buried by Canelo's event with Bolunga. So I don't know if it's buyer's remorse or whatever, Drew, but so far we've heard nothing. I just would have thought a statement would have come that said, look, in light of the UFC Noche event happening, we've decided that maybe this isn't, sorry, I got an itchy nose there, guys. Sorry, I know it's annoying. That they would have said, look, in light of what's happening with the UFC that weekend, we think it's best that maybe Dana White gets taken off the project. It's a massive event. It's going to need someone that's going to be on it 24/7, and this is probably not really the event that maybe Dana White's going to be able to give his all to, especially considering it's his first boxing event. So we're going to do this instead. I think everyone would go, yeah, that probably makes sense. But just to have radio silence, who knows? So we're all out here guessing about what's going on. They could have just nipped it all in the bud by just telling us right off the bat what had happened, and we'd move on. But here we are discussing what might have happened. And the other thing too, Oscar De La Hoya's gone awfully quiet as well. We haven't seen his clapback Thursdays for a while. Even his other show he started, what was that? The show with his wife or his partner, whatever she is? I actually didn't mind that. I thought it was really well done. So we haven't seen that either. He's gone really, really quiet, has Oscar. So maybe they've all just been told just to chill. Don't say a lot, and let's just wait until the right time until we can say something. But maybe Turkey and all his cohorts have all, retreated back into their caves because of the disaster of that weekend of a few weeks back with the Times Square show and then the Canelo show. Canelo did comment on that fight, by the way, and it's something that we've discussed in here as well, that he said, look, it was just really hard fighting out of his country or out of his normal fighting time over in the States for that weekend. It was hard fighting in the morning and with a minimal crowd, all that sort of stuff. So I think we can give him a bit of a pass on that one. But he did promise that we're going to see a different Canelo than what we saw against Crawford. What's that, Glenn? Agreed. Dana's a dick. Richard says Moses Otama is going places. Yeah, I got no doubt he is, Richard. I just want to see him fight someone who can fight back. That's all. Drew, I'll listen to your chat with D-Style about Eddie and Liam Paro parting ways after the Hitchens loss. I almost think Paro got his bubble burst when he beat Matthias, who Eddie saw as a potential cash cow. Well, I think Eddie was as shocked as everyone about that loss that Matthias had to Paro, Drew. And I've got a feeling, look, I don't know any of this for sure. I'm just guessing here. And as I said on D-Style's show this morning, Drew, I just think what happened after that is that Eddie, you're right, probably wasn't overly happy that Liam Paro had beaten Matthias, who was a bit of a one of his main fighters in his stable, and a fighter that he probably had big plans for to fight the likes of Huni and Lopez and all these types of guys. So maybe it upset the apple cart there. Maybe he didn't think that Liam maybe had the appeal or the ability to carry fighting any of those other really top guys, where I'm pretty sure he would have thought Matthias did. So I've got a feeling he probably said to Liam Paro, he fulfilled his contract and put him in with the second fight against Hitchens. I've got a feeling that Eddie Hearn has pretty much said to Liam, you stay with me, and he's just going to keep throwing him in with all those big dogs of the division. Liam's not really going to have a chance to really stop and regroup and build his career again. It's going to be, mate, you're fighting him or you're out. You're fighting him or you're out. And I just think Liam, like a lot of fighters, Liam's still developing. That was the biggest fight of his career with, which one was it? Matthias, Hitchens, either one. They were both big fights. But I think it was a smart decision to go to No Limit and try and build his brand here in Australia. The paydays mightn't be as big here for now, but I think if they build his profile and maybe get a big pay-per-view against a George Kambosos or whatever, he's gonna cash in there. But I think the paydays with Eddie mightn't have been there, and I think the quality of opposition they were just going to keep throwing him in with. He wasn't going to get a reprieve. I think it was just going to be sink or swim in every single fight. So I got no problems with Liam Paro coming back to Australia and signing with No Limit, who have proven they can get him just as many opportunities as Eddie Hearn got him. One thing No Limit have been great at is getting their fighters opportunities. We can't begrudge them that. And the paydays that go with it. So I think it's a good option to come back and have a promoter that's actively looking out for Liam, not just another fighter in his stable who's just going to keep throwing him with the other good fighters with. So I like the idea of him coming back and fighting with No Limit. Jackson Murray was going to fight Grush, but after his loss, they scrapped it. Still think Grush would probably beat Jackson Richard. Canelo sucks, yep. I must be a little bit behind, am I? Sorry, guys. Who's next for Callum Peters? Well, he's fighting on the Double Liam show. We just don't know who yet. I actually thought it was going to be Kira Rushton, Eminem. That was what they were talking about, that they were going to fight each other. I think it's a really good decision. They don't fight each other, not yet. Let them build their records up, and they can have a big fight in another couple of years, I reckon. Drew, I've heard concerning rumours of a potential Paul versus Zerto clash if Zerto wins his next fight. Where would that leave Apatow if he beats his tune-up coming soon? Yeah, well, if Jake Paul decides he wants to fight Zerto Ramirez, we can be guaranteed that that's the fight that will be made, and vice versa. If Benavides decides he wants to fight Zerto, that would be the fight to make. Now, what happens if the money's obviously there for Jake Paul? That's the bigger money fight. So if Jake Paul says, I want to clash with Zerto for the belt, massive money for Zerto, can't begrudge him that. It's probably, in my opinion, an easy payday for him. Then do it. If Benavides still wants a big fight at cruiser, then maybe does he come knocking on Jai Patai's door for the IBF belt? That would be massive. So that's one possibility, Drew. Who else is it? There's not really anyone else in his division, is there? Maybe, I don't think he's ready yet to go to heavyweight. I mean, he could probably fight. Who are some of the other ones in there? He's still got Shin Cara that he might have to fight, who's still the number one challenger. He's got guys like Chris Billum Smith in there. He's probably the only sort of half sort of name in there, isn't he? Masternak, I suppose. But Billum Smith's probably the only one that could probably get him a half-decent payday, not named Ramirez or Benavides. I know there's Badu Jack for the WBC belt. I'm just not quite sure that he's going to want to fight Jai Patai. We'll see. Maybe it could be a retirement fight for him. Who knows? But yeah, not a lot happening for Jai outside of Zerto or maybe Benavides. There's Kane in the chat. Away, Kane. Welcome to the show, mate. Eminem, what's your thoughts on Callum still fighting in the amateurs as well as pro? Do you think he should commit to just one or the other? Yes, Eminem, I 100% think he should be concentrating on the pros. The Commonwealth Games are next year, I think, and then the Olympics 2 years after that. I'm just not sure why he would bother. Now, we saw it with Harry Garside. He went back. Harry's a very, very talented fighter. He tried his luck back at the amateurs. I think with Callum Peters, I think it's there for everyone to see that he's a very, very good young fighter. But I think in the amateurs, from the fights I saw at the Olympics, he's not really quite at that really elite amateur level. Those, the medal round type of guys. So I'm not quite sure why you would hang around for another it's 3 years until the Olympics from now. Why he would bother when he can just commit to the pros. Look, if the Olympics were next year or something like that, I could probably see it. But the fact they're still 3 years away, and in my opinion, I don't think he's going to be at the level to be able to win a medal at the Olympic Games. I don't know. And even if he does win a medal at the next Games, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't do that much for you. We had 2 Olympic medalists at the last Olympics, and they're just forgotten about. What's her name? Caitlin. There you go. I forgot her last name. And was it Charlie? What was his name? I've forgotten his name as well. Charlie Senior, was it? Was that his name? So there you go. I just don't think it does a lot these days. It doesn't mean as much as it used to back in the day. You win a medal for Australia at the Olympics. We win so many these days. So if you did win a medal, like a Spike Shetty, he was a national hero. These days, you'd just be that bloke who won Olympic silver. That's just the way it is. So I don't know why. Look, having been to the Olympics myself, I get it why these young fighters want to go to the Olympics and tick it off the list. It's obviously the best thing I've ever been part of. Commonwealth Games, World Championships were great as well, but the Olympics is obviously the pinnacle of all amateur sport. So for me, dream come true. Wasn't so much about the results. It's about actually getting there. But I certainly wouldn't have wasted another 4 years if I was in Callum Peters' position with the ability to have a promotional firm like No Limit behind you, really opening all the doors for you. So sure, he's got his reasons, mate, but if it was me in his position, I'd be just committing to the pros, and that's it. Otama is 20, okay. Glenn, yep, the Paul Zerto fight is getting traction, unfortunately, yeah. Can't believe that Jake Paul will fight for a world title. Just crazy. Eminem, Opatai should chase Abadu for the WBC. Yeah, maybe. It does make a lot of sense, doesn't it? I'd be definitely putting the feelers out to David Benavides, although I didn't actually say before, the problem with that as well is that David Benavides is going to want the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol. So that probably puts an asterisk besides him as well. So if you count out Ramirez and Benavides in the near future, well, maybe it is Badu, Jack. And if it's not him, maybe have one more fight or maybe 2 more fights at Cruiser against a Billum Smith or a Masternak or maybe not Ryan Rozicki. Who else is there? There's not a lot there, is there? I'd say Chris Billum Smith and maybe one other guy, and then just move to heavyweight. Just be done with it. All right, dry turkey. Moses does look good. Maybe his next opponent is going to be a 50-year-old baseball player. It's time Huni versus Wardley winner. June 7th gets Moses. Yeah, could be the case there, dry turkey, although you think Moses will want to stay in that number 1 position and just be sitting pretty there. Who is at the moment? So you got Parker's the interim champion. Usyk's, of course, the full champion. If Usyk beats Dubois, so he would then fight Parker. And if he beats Parker, he might retire after that. So that could be 12 months away. So really, most of the time, quite easily could just need to have to wait 12 more months and he'll get a shot at the vacant belt against a Hrgovic. Well, there you go. The top challengers behind him are Hrgovic, Zhang, and Lawrence Okoli, who I think he beats all those guys. So maybe he's just got to keep busy, keep that number 1 ranking, and he'll get a shot at the WBO belt in about 12 to 18 months' time anyway. So I would think if Huni wins that fight, he'll probably do the same with the WBA belt. Just sit pretty and wait for Usyk to retire. Who knows? Kane, yep, shame to see Josh Taylor lose on the weekend. Always been a big fan of Taylor. Became undisputed champ in a very short time. High-level amateur and elite pro took its toll on him, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm with you there, Kane. As I said before, mate, the end comes very quickly, doesn't it? G'day, Drunken Boxing. Good to have you along there, mate. Yep, absolutely. Taylor needs to hang up the gloves. How long can Barkram hold a belt without fighting anyone? Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure, Cal, we talk about this every week, don't we? He's got the 154-pound IBF belt. Erickson Lubin, he's just fought, but he's the number one challenger. The number two challenger, it's a guy by the name of Not Rated, according to Boxing Scene. This Not Rated, he seems to be ranked in a few different divisions, this Not Rated. I wonder what country he's from. Xander Zayas, obviously he's fighting for the WBO belt. I'm surprised he's still in the rankings because it's been sanctioned and announced that he'll fight Jorge Garcia Perez for the vacant belt. So why is he still ranked with the IBF? When Justice Huni was announced he was fighting for the WBA interim belt, number two in the WBO, gone. So I'm not sure what's happening there. Josh Kelly at number 4. Conor Benn. Yeah, I wonder if Conor Benn would be up. Well, he's got, obviously, Eubank to come next. Yeah, it's got to be Eubank. Lubin, doesn't it, Cal? But he's got to have a fight in the meantime, you'd think, Murtazaliyov. Don't know, mate. Who knows? I can't believe that he's a world champion and no one wants to fight him. He needs to get rid of his promotional firm and go with one of the big boys. Then he'll get a fight. Dry turkey with Josh Taylor losing what should be 4 in a row. Does this make T.O. win against him look weak? Not really. Dry turkey. I think Josh's losses that he had were quite close. The Catterall win was close as well. No, not really. I think he's obviously a quality fighter. T.O. took him to school, so I don't think you can take too much away from T.O. in that fight. Is it fair to wonder just how good Taylor, Regis, and Ramirez were? Fighters coming up from 135, bowing them out. Yeah, maybe. It's all subjective, isn't it? Everyone's blowing them out. Yeah, so I was going to say bowing them out, blowing them out. Yeah, well, he did that. So, yeah. What have we got there? Up the Blues, says Cal. Blues through and through, says Drunken Boxing. Mexicans, is that what we're going to call ourselves down this way, is it? We're already called the Mexicans. Are we allowed to say that these days? Is that cultural appropriation, Drunken Boxing, calling us Victorians Mexicans? Does that make the Queenslanders Canadians? How does that work? Drew, Blues all the way. Queensland are low-hanging fruit. Shout out to all the fallen fruit. Shadow Boxer, has Green and Mundine's sons had real fights? Yes, they have, Shadow Boxer. Only Anthony Mundine's son. I think, is it CJ? I think he turned pro. But not little Archie, who's not going to be so little. He's on his way to being a pretty big boy like his dad. Is he even on BoxRec, CJ? No, he's not on. I don't know his real name, CJ Mundine, but I think Archie's only about 16, Shadow Boxer. I'm not quite sure how old CJ Mundine is, if that's his last name. Is it Mundine? I don't know. I'm not quite sure how old he is. He does look quite mature, so it's probably going to be 5 or 6 years down the track, you'd probably think. But they're already talking it up. They've already planted the seed. They've got everyone talking about it. It's been all over social media. I saw it in the paper the other day as well. And good on Anthony Mundine and Danny Green for keeping the legacy alive and in the news. All right, I'm shattered we didn't get Canelo versus Benavidez, but I'm warming to the Bud fight. Given Canelo's last performance, I would have favoured Benavidez significantly. Your thoughts? Yeah. Look, I think if Canelo had fought Benavidez, Drew, it would have been probably in the States in front of a massive crowd. They're both Mexicans, aren't they? So it would have been a big Mexican crowd, plenty of atmosphere in the arena. That would have, I think, given Canelo a different type of performance that we saw against William School. So I'm still rolling with Canelo winning that fight, Drew. Benavidez is a big, scary guy. But Canelo, I just think his style would just be all for Canelo. He would just, in my opinion, I know a lot of people out there disagree. I just think Benavidez's style will just be custom-made for Canelo. Canelo would be able to sit back. He'd be able to counter-punch Benavidez, who would be coming at him. And I just think he'd be pot-shotting him all night. I think it might be a similar type of fight to the last Triple G fight. where Benavides would be doing everything to go after Canelo, but he'd just be picking him off. He'd take his best shots, and I think Canelo would win that fight. I can just hear the responses coming. Great to see the Blues support. Well, I love the Blues. It's a different type of Blues there, Glenn. Batman, I'm going to the fight. Get a chance to see Zoo live. Also, Manny, even though he's so far past his best, it's more like a tribute act, but still be another all-time to see live, or great to see live. Yeah, well, I'll be there, Batman. So I'll come and say good day at some stage if you're there. But should be a massive event. Shadowboxer, you're Paz Marquez 4. That must have been insane. It was insane, Shadowboxer. I was at the fight. It was 2012. I had my two sons. One had just turned 8. I think might have been that week he turned 8. And the other one was about to turn 6. And I took both of my kids to the fight. They, of course, didn't really know what was going on. They were just there and thought, oh, well, we're in Vegas, I'll bring them along. So we sat up the back in the crowd. And when Marquez knocked Pacquiao out, I thought the roof was going to lift off the stadium. And I've told this story on here before, but everyone, which was probably 90% Mexican crowd in there, by the way, it was just nuts. It really was. And everyone just threw their cups of beer and popcorn and you name it, they threw up in the air. I think there was a few girlfriends and wives being thrown up in the air as well. Whatever they could get their hands on was thrown up in the air, and it just rained beer and pretzels and peanuts and popcorn and you name it. And we were drenched, and we had to walk through. My youngest son fell asleep. He had this ability to fall asleep wherever. We took him to a Guns N' Roses concert back in 2017, so it would have been 12. And he fell asleep at a Guns N' Roses concert. He can fall asleep anywhere. So I had to carry him through thousands of people trying to get out. It was just pandemonium after the fight. So I've got one by the arm. I've got the other one trying to carry him through the casino. It was pretty hard work, Shadowbox. And we were at the casino across the road. So it was a bit of a walk. But as far as atmosphere and that goes, mate, just unbelievable, mate. It's probably the best boxing crowd that I've ever been a part of. It was huge. Naz, Boxing Deep Dive Tours, definitely on my bucket list. We were there for sure if timing cost works. Yeah, and that's what it's about, Naz. Like, I'll probably try and do maybe 3 a year, I reckon. And some people will be able to go, some won't be able to go. But just if you can't get to the first one or second one, just keep in mind that I'll try and do 3 shows a year, probably the Las Vegas shows. It gets pretty expensive going across the other side of the country. You can almost add $2 or $3 grand to everything, just with accommodation and airfares and everything else involved. But Las Vegas is pretty good. It's not too taxing on the body. It's a 14-hour flight to LA. Normally wait a few hours, jump on a flight, and it's an hour's flight to Vegas from Los Angeles, or we can drive. It's a 4-hour drive. So, yeah, so don't get too stressed if you can't get... Look, you might go to one a year. You might just go to one and be done. You might go to all of them. I don't know. But I just want to just give people the ability out there to have the opportunity to go to one of these big fights and not think, well, I can't go because I don't know anyone. I don't know how it works, and I'm a little bit hesitant to travel by myself. All that sort of stuff, which is quite normal. It really is. When I went over there for the Hatton and Pacquiao fight, I missed the weigh-in because I had no idea when it was or what time it was on. I think, was it social media? It would have been in back then. Yeah, it was 2009, but maybe I wasn't on social media. I don't know, but I missed it. So I'm sitting in my hotel room, twiddling my thumbs, and then I might have been reading one of the websites or something, and they had all the pictures from the weigh-in. And when I got to the fights the next day, I sat next to these really good bunch of, they were older English guys. They're probably in the sort of late 60s, even early 70s. They were really great guys. And I got talking to them, and they were telling me all about the weigh-in and all that sort of stuff. And I just missed it. And I just wish I had somewhere to... I didn't even know where the fights were. I had no idea what was anywhere, and because I went by myself. And that's what I want for everyone that comes over, to say, hey, mate, here's a list of stuff. Here's some suggestions of things to do. There's certainly no obligations. I'll give you a list of stuff that you might want to see. We'll obviously do some running around in some gyms and all the stuff that you might want to see as a boxing fan. But I've been there enough times to be able to give you a rundown of maybe some things that you might want to see and some ideas and whatever else. So I suppose I'm trying to be that person that I never had there, Naz. I had to go over there by myself and completely wing it. And I'm surprised I even got to watch the fight, to be honest. I had no idea what I was doing. All right, William G. Evening all. I'm thinking Canelo's a bit pissed about being bagged after his last performance, thinking it will motivate him for Crawford. I'm with you, William. I definitely think that there was an interview the other day with Canelo. I think it was where he said, don't stress, the fight will be in Vegas, no matter what, it will be in Vegas. He did have a little bit of steeliness about him, didn't he? He did look like he was not happy with the questioning. What happened? I think there was that interview too where he said, look, I fought in the morning. Outside my comfort zone in another country. It was really hard. Blah, blah. I thought an opponent didn't want to fight. I got a feeling, and especially now that a lot of people are saying that Crawford is a live chance, I've got a feeling we're gonna wind back the clock a little bit with Canelo, and he's going to come out and really have a crack at Terence Crawford. Batman, I've already booked mine, but I will have to buy you a drink in Vegas. That'd be great, Batman. You might see us there with a travelling party. Yet we'll see how we go. Glenn, I'd be definitely interested in the tour. Yep, good stuff. G'day from the UK, Lyndon in the chat. Good stuff, Toby. Great to have you along. Just on that, too, Glenn. I will give, when it's set, you'll all get a proper itinerary, obviously with your flight times and where we're staying and what's involved with the trip, all that sort of stuff. So, again, you don't need to worry about anything. It's all taken care of. Next Thursday, the International Boxing Hall of Fame inductions begin. Yes. Now, this is another thing we spoke about this morning, D-Style and myself, about Manny Pacquiao. When it was announced that he was going to fight Mario Barrios, should they have pulled his induction? Now, he's going to be inducted a month before he fights in Las Vegas, well, about 5 weeks before. So what's the go with that? He's supposed to have been out of the ring. I thought it was 5 years, but D-Style said this morning it's only 3 years. So should they have pulled his induction? I think they should have. I think they should have said, hey, Manny, we love you. Your induction spot will always be there, but these are our rules. This is the way it works, and we're going to have to pull you to, if he only fights this year, we're going to have to pull him until 2028. That's just the way it is. But, yeah, he's there with Michael Nunn and Vinny Pazienza, which would be fantastic. Double G, speaking of the Thai girl that par fought, where are these promoters situated when it comes to the duty of care? I don't want to see a mismatch turn into a fatality with these poor, desperate Thais. Yeah, the thing is, Double G, is that you're right about the duty of care, 100%. The problem is the referees aren't stupid as well. They know what's going on. They would look at the sheet and go, oh, okay, yep, all right. So you would have seen in that fight, as the first opportunity that the referee got, he just waved it off because they're just waiting for it. So it's almost as soon as they take a couple of punches, as soon as they hit the deck, which they most often do, the referee just steps in straight away and just waves it off. And you can see sometimes a look of disgust on their faces as well. They don't want to do it, but they would look at the sheet and go, well, we know what's going to happen here. And that shouldn't happen on a fight card, especially a no-limit fight card, but you look at it and you know exactly what's going to happen. First round knockout, second round knockout. That's not what Australian boxing should be about, or any boxing for that matter. I understand it's happened in the past. It's happened to me in the past where you get a late replacement, someone pulls out, someone gets injured, whatever it might be, and you've got to find an opponent quick. I get that. But I must admit, I've pulled fights from my card because I thought there's no way in hell I'm putting that guy against this other A side on my shows. I'll just pull the card and just lose the money out of the fight. I did get a couple of Thais come over, a few of the girls, and they were all good. I didn't get any girls over that didn't perform. I think most of them went the distance, and I'm talking fights against the likes of Shanika Johnson, Shannon O'Connell. Was Shannon one of them? Shannon O'Connell one of them? Maybe not. She fought a Japanese girl. But Shanika Johnson fought a couple of Thais, and they were actually really good Thais. Took Shanika the distance and gave her a good fight. That's different. Had a couple of Thais that fought the Bala brothers and another young guy had, and they all went the distance. So that's what you want to see. But when they bring over these Thais that you just know, like this girl, I looked her up on not YouTube, on BoxRec, and went, oh my God. She's been stopped 5 times. Now, female fights don't often end in KOs, let alone one fighter getting KO'd 5 times. And in this case, the referees, as soon as par opened up, just pulled the plug. But as far as duty of care, Double G, they've got to be held to account. I would think in that instance, after that fight night, what should have happened is the duty of care comes in where the combat board, who should have been vetting the opponents anyway, would at least say to George Rose and Matt Rose, hey, we can't have this. We can't have this on future shows. But their job is to tick off these fights, by the way. So I suppose then you've got to shift the blame to the combat boards. I think sometimes, especially with saying No Limit show, they go, oh, yeah, no, it's all good. I'm sure they're all going to be good fights. That is their job, is to research and approve all the fights. And obviously it's not happening because it's still going on in Melbourne as well, and I'm assuming in other parts of the country as well. I hate it, and it needs to be stamped out. All right, explicit. It's almost June, and we're halfway through the year. Any fights you want before 2026? Good call. Oh, geez, I don't know, mate. I suppose you go through them. I'd still like to see Fury and Joshua by the end of the year. I'd like to see Opataya against Badu Jack or Ramirez before the end of the year. I'm just going through the divisions here. At light heavyweight, we're going to get Bivol and... actually, I'd like to see Bivol and Benavides, the winner, fight Benavides before the end of the year. So that's at light heavyweight. At super middleweight, we're going to get Canelo and Crawford. I suppose that's all we're after, isn't it? At middleweight, I'd love to see Janabek against Lara. That's the fight I would like to see. Would be an excellent fight. At super welter or 154, I'd like to see... we're going to see Tim and Fundora. I'd like to see Murtazalyov and Ortiz before the end of the year. At welterweight, it's got to be Ennis and Norman for that one. At 140, I would like to see Lopez and the winner of Hitchens and Kambosos. At lightweight, I would like to see the winner of Stevenson and Cepeda against Davis. It's a pretty easy one. At 130, it's got to be Roach and, who would I say there? I'd probably say... Lamont Roach sort of at lightweight now, isn't he? So I suppose it's got to be Oshaki Foster and Emmanuel Navarrete. At 126, Nick Ball, Stephen Fulton, I think would be the good fight. 122, hey, bring on Inoue and Goodman. Come on, let's see it. I know Inoue is going to be fighting MJ and whoever else, but let's see that one. 118, I'd love to see Nakatani and Rodriguez. They're the fights. And if that doesn't happen, maybe Nakatani and Takai. He's fighting Nishida, but maybe unify with Takai as well with the WBO. And at 115, I'd love to see maybe Jesse Rodriguez and Chocolatito Gonzalez. There you go. There's all my fights. I think I'm way behind here, guys. I better get a wriggle on. Aussie pugilist. This is what has put me off having no one to go with. So going on a tour will be awesome. Good stuff, Aussie pugilist. That's what it's all about, mate. I'm really happy with the feedback we've got so far. Look, whether when push comes to shove, everyone comes, we will see, and maybe we'll get a few that say, "Hey, we're coming." Just not on this one. Might be the next one or the one after, and that's great. But I think so far the feedback's been really good, and look, I'm going either way, so it doesn't really faze me. But I just really want to make it possible for anyone out there to be able to go to a big fight and have someone to go with. And I know a lot of there are companies out there that do, like the Super Bowl and the golf, the US Masters, the tennis, all that sort of stuff. I'm not quite sure. I think in England they might have a similar thing to this, where they do package deals. This is sort of what I'm trying to do for the Aussies. All right, Combat Oz. A lot more in training fees for MMA, UFC fighters with striking, wrestling, judo, and jiu-jitsu coaches needed. Yeah, good point there, Combat Oz. They've got, might have half a dozen trainers. Boxers have got one trainer, or maybe a strength and conditioning coach as well. But yeah, you're right. I didn't ever think of that, actually, that they've got all these different coaches they've got to employ. So add that to the lack of purses. Yeah, it's pretty tough to make a good living in MMA, isn't it? Andrew Ryan. Hi, Andrew. G'day, Lynden. I'm new to this show, but I've been really enjoying walking boxing for a few weeks now. Great stuff. Good on you. Thanks, Andrew. Really appreciate it, mate. And don't be shy with the comments. Keep them coming. And again, with walking boxing too, guys, if you've got a topic or something you want me to talk about, then let me know. I'll talk about it on one of the shows on one of the morning walks. Random stuff. It's almost like some fighters pay to get their ranking or get agents to wheel and deal to get their boxers better rankings. Some boxers don't fight for years and all of a sudden ranked in the top 10. Yeah, we'll just ask Matty Pacquiao about that one. Well, that's the way it works, random stuff. That's what happens with the yearly conferences. That's what they do. They pretty much go there and wine and dine all the sanctioning body officials and make a case for their fighters, and that's the way it works. It's a business, remember, very political, and you got to work your way. It's almost like the games you play with them, managing your fighters. That's what it's like. You got to maneuver them through. You got to take your opportunity and slide through. You might see an opportunity to get a ranking and whatever it might be, and you got to take it. So that's why a good manager comes into it. So, but yeah, look, there is no rhyme or reason to it. Random stuff. It's just no rules at all. It's just anything goes, isn't it? Richard, the heavyweight division in the UFC is a joke. You've got the interim champ waiting/wanting to fight the current champ who doesn't want to fight him. Farcical. All right, so let me know who that is, Richard. I don't know. Wouldn't the UFC force him to fight? I thought that's the way it worked. Don't know. Glenn, it's absolutely pathetic. Dana has no shame. All right, Toby, where would AJ Fury fight? Because Wembley Stadium has no roof and December is bloody cold in the UK. Good call, Toby. That's a very good question. I don't know. You tell me. Is there a stadium in England or London with a roof on it? Let us know. I forgot that it was winter over there. Would they? Yeah, they couldn't do it in the winter, could they? Yeah, good call. Didn't even think of that. So maybe just put a line through that till maybe this time next year. I don't know. Andy, maybe Dana wants too much control and Turkey realised he won't have full control himself. Maybe Dana snowballed with UFC as is. Anyone's guess, Andrew or Andy? I'd love to at least get a statement of some sort anyway. Kermel Moton returns this weekend on the PBC card. Okay, let me have a look. Haven't seen anything written about that at all. Eminem. Where is the card? Let me have a look. Good young fighter is Kermel Moton. Saw him fight as an amateur in Vegas a couple of years ago. And I think he might have won Best Boxer, actually. It was at the Expo. So he's 7-0, 6 knockouts. He's fighting Rennie Viamonte Mastrapa. And that is... okay. Oh, there you go. Sorry. It's on the Plant and Charlo doubleheader. Okay. I didn't even check the undercard of that card. Anyone else on there that we know? No, not really. I'm surprised one of the Vargases haven't turned up. They sort of turn up on all the shows, don't they, lately? No, okay. All right, we'll look out for that. Now, I'm not sure. It's on Amazon Prime, so I'm assuming we get it for free here, do we? I don't know. When is the next watch-along? Nunes versus Rikishi, Takai versus Tong D. Don't know, explicit. When will it be? Don't know. I'll let you know. Because we put the fights on at the pub these days, and when they're on, I always go. So I'll have to, I'll let you know, mate. All right, Naz. Last year, Liam Paro won a world title against a boogeyman in his country. Zero media. This year, signs with no limit and fights a guy so-so, and they print his every word. Oz Media gives me the shit. Comes down to no limit, though, Naz. That's all it comes down to. They've got a contract like they do with Main Event and Foxtel and KO and all that sort of stuff. Well, they're obviously all in cahoots because all the events, whether it's the No Limit on Fox or the pay-per-views, all get saturated media in the papers. You haven't really seen anything with Jaya Pattaya either because he's not in the gang. He's with the DAZN mob. So I don't know whether it's all going to change. We'll see. But I'm with you. It does give me the shits as well. But that's maybe another reason why I signed with No Limit as well. The interesting thing too, I did, again, I was talking to D-Style about this morning, is that the two Liams on the same show is not a pay-per-view. It's actually No Limit on Fox. But the Sam Goodman event was a pay-per-view. I would have strongly thought that the Sam Goodman fight would have been a No Limit on Fox event, which is free, and the two Liams would have been the pay-per-view. Strange. Jules re Big J's question about fighters' pay. Is there room for some sort of union co-op to run for profit shows, hence professional, where all proceeds go to the fighters? Is that type of model feasible? Not really, Jules, because when you think about it, the promoter it's a business. He's running a business and he's paying the performers to perform on his promotion. Maybe, unless you're asking, does there have to be minimums as far as what they get per round? I don't know. I used to have a bit of a model with mine, Jules, and there was nothing in place, by the way, but it was the minimum for a 4-round or whatever it might be of the 300 a round. Then if it was a 6-rounder, it might go to 350. If it was an 8-rounder, it might go to 400. These are the prelim fights. And then the main event was sort of by negotiation. So I sort of had a sliding scale. I don't know how other promoters do it. But, yeah, look, a union would be great. I just don't know how it would work, mate. I really don't. And I think I've said on here before, one thing I am massively in favour of is that, say, $1 or $2 or even $5 from every ticket sold to every event. Maybe it depends on the size of the show. Maybe it's for a smaller show, say at the Melbourne Pavilion or somewhere like that. It's maybe $2 or something per ticket, goes towards a fund or a superannuation type of thing for fighters. If you sign up like you are when you're an employee for a normal business, when you sign up to be a professional boxer, you have to have a superannuation that they have to pay into. I don't mind that. So it might be $2 for every ticket goes towards that. Might be $5 for the bigger shows, whatever it might be. But I think there's got to be something in place where X amount of dollars gets distributed amongst the card to go into a superannuation fund. The problem is that boxing's, full of dodgy characters who would probably find a way to get around it. But in theory, it's not a bad idea anyway. We'll see. That's him, Andy, a guy by the name of Not Rated. There's a few of them there. All right, Drew, what's going on with Nikita? Almost a year without a fight and nothing scheduled on BoxRec. No, I think they're looking at August at this stage, Drew, but we will see. What's that, Naz? Has anyone watched The Featherweight, a movie made a year or two ago about Willie Pep? I watched the trailer and it looks pretty good. No. Wow, if it was about Willie Pep, I'll definitely be watching that one, Naz. One of the greatest featherweights of all time. Once won a round without throwing a punch, if you can believe that. And that's a true story. So, all right, I will check that out. Where is it, Naz? It is on Netflix or where? Let us know. What's that? Kane, only people from South Australia can call Victoria Mexico, mate. Yeah. Hey, I'm a proud Mexican, Kane. Don't worry about that. All right, Jules, hang on. I'll just grab a drink here. All right, Jules, my earlier question, Rizu Fundora, was official date announcement. Oh, sorry, Jules. Sorry about that. About PBC. Okay, June the 2nd. I spoke to Glenn Jennings last week, and it looks like it's going to be June 2nd. He's over there getting things organised for Tim's camp. But it looks like June 2nd will be the official announcement, Jules, and that's when we can lock things in. I want to lock stuff in, so going with 19th to the 7th, but confirmation would be nice. My apologies, but BD detours for Canelo is lit. No worries, Jules. Yeah. So sorry about that. I misinterpreted your question there. So, yeah, so as I said, June the 2nd looks like it will be the press conference. Let me just check. Now, that is a Monday, which will be Tuesday here. So Tuesday the 3rd here will be the press conference. So, so as I said, Glenn's over there at the moment. So getting everything in readiness. All right. Kane, I know not a big fan of SA, but at least we follow AFL. That's it, Kane. Hey, mate, my father's side of South Australia, mate, so I'm sort of half South Aussie. But no, I'm a proud member of the Big V, Kane. I'd love the opportunity to smash you guys in State of Origin football, AFL. Now, before all the rugby heads say, oh, geez, when you play your internationals, hey, we don't care. We're like American football. We're an Indigenous game to Australia, and that's the way we like it. NFL is the biggest game in the world, and it's played by one country. And whether you rugby guys like it or not, rugby league guys like it or not, AFL is the biggest sport in this country by a country mile and always will be. And we're only getting bigger. Wait till Tassie comes in and we're going to go to Darwin. What is rugby league thinking going to Western Australia? What the hell? Perth. Oh, geez. The interest over there will be about that big. But anyway, geez, I'm just waiting for the comments here. I've enraged our rugby league fans out there. Come on. All right, I'm only joking, guys. We can all coexist. What's that? They had the main actor on Porterway. Oh, okay. Sean Porter's podcast last week. Cool. All right, Cal Jane, would love to see Canelo versus winner of the Bivol 3-peat. Canelo would love a revenge of Bivol. Your thoughts? I've got a suspicion it's not going to happen, Cal. Well, look, maybe it could. Maybe if circumstances went the way that suited Canelo, because you obviously got Benavidez and Better Beef. There's all these Bs, so they'll fight the rubber match. The winner of that, well, you'd think they would fight Benavidez, but you're right. If Canelo said, well, hang on, I've just beaten Crawford, I want the winner of Better Beef and Bivol, that would definitely happen because Canelo is the bigger money fight. But if Canelo says, no, especially if I think if Better beats Bivol, I don't think you see Canelo want to go up and take on Better Beef. Just different types of styles. If Bivol won, then maybe you could probably see it. But at this stage of his career, does he really need the aggravation of that, Cal? I don't know. He's a super middleweight. And even he's only a small super middleweight. He should be fighting at middleweight, if anything. So I don't see the sense in fighting those guys. Just be done with it. You don't have to avenge every loss. It just happens. So the question is, though, Cal, I mean, who's he fight after that? I could probably think, so he's got Crawford in September. You would think it'd be Eubank in May. Then maybe it could be next September, the winner of the little three-peat go-around with Benavides, Better Beef, and Bivol. Try to say that 3 times fast. All right, Daniel. Anyone who hasn't travelled to the US to watch a big fight, do it. Experience of a lifetime. Good stuff, Daniel. Who'd you go see, mate? Let us know. It'd be great to have you along for one of them as well, mate. It'd be great to have someone with your knowledge to come along with. Just a reminder too, guys, or a heads up. When I go to the fights or go over to Las Vegas for the boxing, I go for the boxing. Okay, yeah, I'll have a few drinks here and there and maybe play a bit of poker or something like that, but I'm not a big drinker. I'm not going to go to clubs and that with you, so don't get excited. I'm not going to sit there and play roulette all night. It's not me. I'm there for the boxing. I got my blinkers on, and I'm always trying to be nice and fresh, get up early and do my thing, go for a walk down the strip and see the sights and all that sort of stuff. But if you want someone as a drinking partner, that ain't me, or a gambling partner. I'm sure there'll be other people on the tour that will happily do that with you. But while you're out doing all that stuff that I don't need to know about, I'll be tucked in bed by about 1 or 2 a.m., I reckon. Although I must admit, when I go away, I get later every night, sort of an hour later every night I'm there. So if I'm there for 5 days, I might start at 11. By the time the last night comes around, I'm in bed by 4. It's just every night's an hour later. All right, Kane, Boxing Deep Dive Tour is fantastic. I better start saving my pennies. Yep, do it now. Kane, as I said, I'm thinking for the September Canelo and Crawford fight, I'd budget for about 6. If you want sort of half-decent tickets, they're going to be pricey. Actually, I don't know whether... I'll just quickly have a check now. I reckon actually the September ones were cheaper than the July ones from memory. Let me just have a quick look. When are we going? We would go, this is another thing to get your head around. We'd go on the 8th of September. We'd be home on the 16th of September. All right. Oh, sorry. So we've got the economy flights. You can go premium or business if that's what you want to do as well. But the flights... or the pricing will all be economy. All right, I'm just going to have a quick look here. Just see. I'm pretty sure they were pretty cheap at that time. All right, yeah. So, all right. So, Qantas. So, we went American Airlines. Yes, okay. So, we could get an airfare for as cheap as about $1,500. That's the Vegas return. So, that's LA, then to Vegas. That's a ripper price. So you probably get away with it for about $5,000. There you go, with accommodation, flight tickets, and everything else in there. $5,000. There you go. Eminem, big fight in Vegas is definitely on the bucket list. Yep. Wouldn't it be good to sort of build a community though, where eventually I'm sure that you might even say you might come a couple of times. I'll just do it myself next time. I doubt it because it's nothing better than going with another group of Aussie fight fans. But yeah, just to build a community where maybe you can come regularly. It might be once a year or whatever it might be. It'd be great. Jules, the deep dive tour is a great idea. You built a great community with the channel, Lynden. Thanks, Jules. I appreciate that, mate. It's been a long time sort of coming, and the subscribers keep building, and it's been good, mate. I love getting on here and talking with you guys. Can't pull the induction of Pacquiao once he'd been elected. Okay, I didn't know that. Duty cares ultimately with the Combat Sports Board. Yep, I agree, Jules. To get licensed fighters have to be capable, and the board confirms it. If a death was caused by a mismatch, they would be in trouble. Yep, I'm with you there, mate. And look, the promoters might get sued, but maybe the promoters might sue the Combat Board and say, well, you approved it. Without you, we wouldn't have put the fight on. Lots of loopholes in there and lots of repercussions if that did happen. How do you quantify the brain damage that doesn't show up for years? No chance of anyone taking responsibility for that. Yeah, I don't know, Jules. Good question, but it's probably been happening for decades and probably will for decades more. I think Pac-Man was given a pass for the Hall of Fame induction due to a slightly less than stellar line-up of inductees. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just trying to reconcile the decision. Yep, maybe Drew, although who was it that's in there? Mark, that you can't pull an induction once you've been elected. Okay. Pound for Pound King, how are you there, mate? Welcome to the show. Polly, the farmer, says, I've heard Fulton plans to go up to 130 for his next fight. Okay, geez, him and, say, Navarrete would be a good fight, wouldn't it? William G, I'd like to see Boots Ennis versus Conor Benn. Win-win for Eddie, both his boys. Yep, I think, hasn't Conor gone to 154? I think he's ranked at 154 now. I think I said that before, wasn't he? He was ranked, ranked number 5 by the IBF. Geez, Barkram and Conor Benn would be a war, wouldn't it? Whew. Maybe that's the fight we'd like to see. Barkram murders Ali of Conor Benn. Wow. There's some bombs thrown in that one. Ali, the Tottenham Stadium has a roof, which is where the Eubank Ben fight was held. Well, there you go, Ali. Thanks very much, mate. Someone in the know. Explicit, I looked up the schedule, and Huni, Apataya, Keyshawn, Nakatani are all basically fighting in a day. Different cards, boxing 24/7 shall be interesting. Yeah, it should be. Jeez. Sort of happening at the moment. And then we've got that July 19 weekend. We've got Usyk and Dubois in the morning. Then we've got Zhu, Fandora, and Pacquiao Barrios. And there's another, I think Jesse Bam Rodriguez is fighting that night as well. So as long as they don't call you Victorians flat-footed, good on you. Okay, I'm not sure of that one there, William G. Flat-footed Mexicans, okay. I am flat-footed, actually, surprisingly, you just said that. Cal, AJ versus Otama, yeah. I doubt it at this stage, but you never know. I'm more of a boxing person, says Richard, but glance through the UFC, and Tom Aspinall is the interim champ and has waited for nearly a year to fight John Jones. Dana just doesn't seem to want to take the belt off him. Yeah, again, mate, I'm not really familiar with how all that works. Yunus Hernandez, ranked in 3 of the sanctioning bodies, is also fighting on the plant card to step up against Kyrone Davis, even though I don't remember when he fought. Yeah, I haven't had a good look at the card yet, explicit. I might do that tomorrow, I think. Aussie Rules had those games against Ireland in that mixed rules AFL Gaelic game. Yeah, it's just called international rules, Richard. Wasn't a big fan of that. I don't think the Irish liked it as well. They tried to get the international thing, Australia versus Ireland, but I don't think it really caught on here, mate. I don't think anyone really liked it. Cal, NRL fan, but I do have a team in the AFL, each to their own, love all sports. Yeah, I don't know where this thing comes in, where if you're an NRL fan, you got to hate AFL and vice versa. I can say to you that I know a lot of NRL fans look at AFL and think it's, it's for, it's not very rough or anything like that. I can assure you of one thing, it is extremely tough. Maybe not as rough and tough as rugby league is, because you get the ball and you're running into oncoming traffic and trying to get through them. AFL is more a game of skill, but just let me rest assured, anyone that ever says that AFL isn't a tough game, that they've got their heads up their asses. Go and watch a game live and you'll see what I'm talking about. These are some very, very well-conditioned guys hitting each other at 360-degree angles and stuff. It's a tough sport. As I said, not as big and tough as the rugby league guys. They're bigger guys and they hit each other harder. But AFL players are a lot tougher in a lot of different ways. But I don't know, you talk to a lot of AFL fans, they don't really get too stressed about it. A lot of NRL fans hate AFL, and that's fine. But AFL fans, if you talk to them, they don't really give a shit. They love their game and couldn't care less about NRL or soccer or basketball. They couldn't care less. They love the game. It's our game, and that's the way we see it. And I've got nothing bad to say about NRL. It's not my thing. I don't watch it, but that's one common thing you'll find with most AFL fans. They don't care. They don't care about other sports. They might, when I say don't care, they care about watching other sports, but they don't get all bent out of shape about what sport's better and who's doing this. They just love their game, our game, and couldn't really give a shit about what NRL or anyone else is doing, where NRL seem to have this fixation with the AFL, this Volandis guy. Geez, every second day he's got something to say about AFL. Mate, just worry about your own game. We're doing all right. We're doing all right. All right, what team do you barrack for, Cal Jane? Let us know that. All right, Daniel went over to Cotto and Gill. Geez, that would have been a good one. Barclays Centre in 2015 had a mishap on a night out with a very well-known Australian commentator. After too many beers, took a tumble, stay sober. I've got a feeling I might know who that is, Daniel, but we won't say on here. That would have been a great fight to be at. We were actually at the wild card when Cotto was training for the Daniel Gill fight. Daniel, that's where Jade Mitchell was sparring with Cotto in preparation for his fight with Gill. Chisora fought Fury outdoors. What time of year was that, AI? Was it end of year? Drew, how do you think Ike Ababuchi, is it, would have gone in the heavyweight division back in the day, given he beat an undefeated Tua and Bird before he went to jail? I'm trying to just get my head around if I remember seeing a lot of him, Drew. I'm not going to comment on that one because I'm not back around that time as when I was just getting into my business. I reckon I was sort of in and out of boxing for about a 3 or 4 year period. I can't comment on that, mate. I didn't see enough of him, if at all, from memory. But let us know how you think he would have went. Ali, the heavyweights are having a change of the guard. When do you think Huni, Atama, and Next Generation will fight? Will they wait for titles to be vacated and clash at that point with belts on the line? Good call, Ali, because you're right. We've got sort of Usyk and Dubois. I think Dubois, if he wins, will be the new age heavyweight. Joshua's on the way out. Fury's on the way out. You've got Wardley, Huni, Otama as the heavyweights coming up. And then on the other side, you've got Zhang and Hergovich and Piccoli and these types of guys on the way out. Do you think that you got Jagber as well, maybe can come back? Yeah, maybe. We've got a good group of 3 or 4 good young fighters at the top that might be that next wave coming through. But you're right. Look, every sort of decade or so this happens, doesn't it? But it is in a transitional phase, so it might be a little bit early for Wardley and Huni to fight, but I think they're both young enough. It's not going to matter. They'll both come back, whoever loses that fight. AI going to Perth, or NRL going to Perth for the TV dollar. Get a 9:30 p.m. start Saturday night Eastern Time game. Yeah, well, you're right, AI. I was sort of joking about what the Perth team will do over there as far as interest goes, but it's like the AFL going to the Gold Coast and Greater Western Sydney. Gold Coast I can probably see because there's a lot of expat Victorians up there, but I cannot see why they would go to the Greater Western Sydney. No one gives a toss about it out there. But they did it so they get the 9th game per week, raise the revenue, and that's why they did it. But having said that, most of the money they've raised has gone back into propping that team up. So, I'm not sure why they bothered with that. But, yeah, I get it, mate. It's all about the dollar, isn't it? Exactly, William. Don't bag any sports. Love by all. I'm with you there, mate. Yep, all good. A little off topic, but have you seen the new entertainment Run It Straight? Geez, KO's galore. No, I haven't seen it. Is that the where they have groups of fighters just run at each other and punch on? I don't know, but I have seen bits of. Who knows what's next? That as long as they ban that stupid slap thing, I can talk about hating other sports there, William. That's a sport that should be banned. They can't even, in my opinion, call it a sport when they slap each other. I don't like it. To stand there defenseless and have someone slap you in the face as hard as they can, how is that even allowed? I just don't understand it. You know, in boxing, it's about, I know it's perceived as being brutal and everything else, but you're trying to outscore your opponent. UFC, you're trying to submit your opponent, but it's done sort of scientifically. Is that the word for it? Strategically. But that slapping thing, it's literally one person standing up and belting the other guy, and then if they happen to get through that punch, they get the return swing back. It's ridiculous. AFL blokes can't fight. Remember when the NRL AFL plays in those boxing events, NRL wipe the floor with them. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not going to dispute that. Just built differently, aren't they? Yeah, you're right. The big NRL guys up against the AFL guys, yeah, only sort of ended sort of one way. But that's not the sort of toughness I'm talking about. I tipped the NRL guys to beat the shit out of AFL players as well. I've seen a lot of the AFL players do boxing, and I thought, oh my God. But the NRL boys, big tough boys, make no mistake about that. Rugby union, I know less about rugby union than I know about rugby league, mate. I cannot comment about that sport at all. I couldn't name one player or a team. I have no idea. Did you see Barry Hall fight as an amateur? No, I didn't, Richard. I did hear a little bit about him. Look, he was built up by the media as being, this possible future champion. Look, from what I hear, he was a kid. I think he was like a 13 or 14-year-old kid when he was fighting. How can you gauge that? So, and he was in the league, which is not the officially recognised body anyway. So, yeah, from what I've heard, he was just another kid. Look, he did, from what I've seen, he did have some ability, but the media and that jumping all over him like he was some sort of superstar, it's pretty laughable in the end. And we've seen what happened, didn't we? He got knocked out a couple of times. Yeah, Daniel, AFL blokes can't fight. See, Gary Ablett spar. Well, he sparred Lester Ellis and actually gave Lester a bit of a touch-up, didn't he, Daniel? He could actually put him together all right, Gary Ablett. Just one of those natural sports people, wasn't he? He actually could have gone all right, I reckon, in the boxing thing against the NRL guys because he's that really tough, nuggety type of guy. You see a lot of the AFL players that fought the NRL guys, tall, like well built, but pretty skinny in comparison to the NRL guys. At least Ablett had a bit of size about him. He could have gone all right, I reckon, but yeah, I just never really got into those fights anyway. I know you don't give a crap, but who wins a Gallen Sonny Bill Freak Show? I'm hoping Gallen wins that, Drew. I hope Gallen takes him apart. I've got a bit of respect for Paul because I've always said he's tried to be a real fighter. Sonny Bill Williams, this 2-minute round bullshit, 8 2s. Gallen wanted 10 3s. Pretty hard to take Sonny Bill Williams seriously. But Paul Gallen, he's a fighter's fighter, Paul Gallen, and I hope he wins. You're fishing all right there, AI, yep. Can someone confirm or deny the myth that Ablett Sr. bashed up Lester Ellis? Surely you know the truth behind this one. Yeah, well, as I said, he did give him a touch-up. What it was, Jules, it was a bit of a charity or something they did at the club or whatever, and Lester went down and sparred with Ablett. I mean, geez, he had probably about a 50-kilo weight advantage over Lester too, by the way. Lester, it was just one of those things where Lester was hitting him with everything, but he was just too big to even make an impact, and Ablett was just a naturally gifted guy and actually got some punches, and he certainly didn't bash Lester Ellis, Jules. I can assure you of that. There's news footage of it on YouTube if you check it out. He just did a lot better than what a lot of people expected. That's what happened. Eminem, run it straight is where two blokes run at each other like a rugby tackle. Okay, I'll check it out. Big boys like two trucks having a head on. Don't even like the sound of that, Eminem, but I'll give it a look. Jules Damara doing some training in his time off, maybe a future career change, but it looks very hittable on the pads on social. I've seen a bit, Jules. Yeah, maybe stick the footy there, mate. Look, he's earning, he's going to earn $1 million a year. What the hell is he doing boxing? Stay playing footy. I just don't get it. Would be good to see David Nyika back on the Gallen Sonny Bill card. Okay, I didn't know that. No, that's awesome. Great to see him back, mate. Looks like a really nice young guy. Cal, Dragons, NRL, Swans, AFL, GWS in NBA, Swifts, netball, and Aussies, tennis, and Waratahs in rugby, golf, all Aussies, car drivers, all Aussie. Okay. So what's that there? So Dragons in the NRL, Swans in the AFL, same colours, I suppose. GWS in NBA. Is that, who's GW? Is that Golden State Warriors? Should it be GSW in NBA? Swifts in the netball and Aussies in the tennis. Yep, Waratahs in rugby. Okay. Well, if I had to pick some of them, Cal, it's a good question. Who would I go for? NRL would definitely be the mighty Melbourne Storm. I don't really watch their games. I might have a bit of a flick through if they're on. But I'm definitely a bandwagon supporter with the Melbourne Storm. But always look to see where they've won or lost. But yeah, so Melbourne in the NRL, the mighty Blues in the AFL. NBA, the mighty Boston Celtics, although I'm still trying to get over poor old Jason Tatum with his Achilles. But they're definitely my team in the NFL. Oh, it's pretty much all the Boston teams. What are they? The Patriots in the NFL, the Red Sox in the baseball. I never watch these sports, by the way, but I'm just picking them out. I'm not so fussed about the ice hockey. I can't get around the Boston Bruins in the hockey NHL because they wear black and yellow or black and gold. In the AFL, that's the Richmond Tigers, one of our arch enemies. I can't get my head around it, so I'm just going to have to pause that one. But definitely the Patriots and the Red Sox. All right, Ali, we've got a couple more questions to go, and we'll call it a night. Do you know who Ibrahim Bella is fighting? Announced an upcoming fight in regional Victoria for his Australian belt. No, I know he's just got back from overseas there, Ali. Let me have a look. Is it on BoxRec? Ibrahim Bella promoted a few of Ibrahim's fights. Good to see him getting a bit of success. Unfortunately, I couldn't deliver for him. He got knocked out twice in his career, and they're both on my show. So, Ibi, I'm sorry, mate. You wanted to fight some good fighters, though, and I did the best I could. All right. TBA. All right, so he's fighting, where is that? Ballarat. Peter Maniatis. There you go. So it's it's called the Road to Contender. It's got Victor Nagby, Ibi on it. And they're the only ones I sort of recognise. So there you go, July 19. So another one on July 19. All right. No, I can't remember the last time ever there was a fight night in Ballarat. If they've ever had a professional fight night there, or even an amateur fight night there. That is crazy. There you go. Yeah, all right. Well, we've only got a couple of months to get that organised. I'm sure they will. All right, Naz. Watched Tassie Brown's interview with Teddy Atlas Jr. yesterday. What a pair of boxing encyclopedias. Yeah. And just follow Tassie on his channel. It's called Ringside Seat with Tassie. Some really good interviews on there. Interviews that no one else in Australia is getting. Some of the biggest names in the sport. And Tassie just brings them up. He obviously gets to know them when he goes away. He's met a lot of them. Strikes up a relationship. Well, not really a relationship, but an interaction with them. Gets all the details, messages them, and they all come on his show. So check it out on his podcast, Ringside Seat with Tassie. All right, Drew, Valero and Pacquiao were on a collision course at one point before Valero's tragic demise. Who would have won if they fought way back then? I'm still going to put my money on Pacquiao, Drew. Valero was just the king of the one-rounders, wasn't he? He was a brutal fighter, don't get me wrong. He could punch, massive puncher. And look, he would be dangerous early against Pacquiao, but at lightweight that would have been, I'm assuming. I think Pacquiao at that weight was pretty hard to beat. The only probably worry I get about that, Drew, is that I know we didn't sort of see a lot of Valerio. Again, there were a lot of overmatched opponents, but at that weight, Manny really liked to throw down. He really liked to engage his opponents. He would stand and just fight. He got a little smarter later on when he went up to 147, maybe 140 as well. But at 135, he was a bit of a kamikaze type of fighter, like he was at featherweight. That's probably the only way I would give Valero a chance. But I'm going to stick with Pacquiao, mate. All right, there's a bloke who goes to every Maple Leafs game to cheer for the opponent. My God, the guy. Well, I've lived over there in Canada, Jules. I lived there for 12 months when I was in high school. I just finished high school and been back probably about 10 times to Canada. And my friends live near Toronto, and they're all Maple Leafs fans. And they're definitely one of those teams where you either love them or you hate them. And I could probably see that, where a guy goes to the game to cheer against the Maple Leafs. Because, look, 99% of the population love them, but there are that 1% that absolutely despise them. So I could fully see that. Explicit. Amari Jones, Nishant Dev, and Marco Verdi might be the next Ryan Haney. Ryan Haney, Gavonte future matchup talks. Yeah, still unproven though. Explicit. We'll just wait and see how they all go. I'm not familiar with Nishant Dev, I've got to say. I'll have to maybe look him up. Jones is a good fighter though, and I've said a little bit of Verdi, but if that's the one I'm thinking of. Geez, you know your boxing here, Explicit. Well, I'm thinking, have I seen this guy or not? You're reeling off the names and probably the resumes too. I used to be like that back in the day. Hang on. So he's only had the one fight. That's the one I'm thinking of? Just turned pro. Yeah, okay. All right. So long way to go, Explicit. We'll see, mate. All right, pound for pound king. Besides George versus Hitchens, is there any other decent fight on that undercard? Haven't checked it out yet. No, I haven't either, if I'm being honest. Let me look. I was actually looking to go over to that fight until they announced Tim's fight. Would have been good to be at, actually, with the inductions the week before. All right, let's have a look at the card. All right, so Andy Cruz on the undercard. He's fighting what's his name? Hironori Mishiro, 17-1-1. Alexis Barrera, 12-0. Trying to think there. No one I really recognise there, mate. Apart from Andy Cruz. Daniel says, I've had this discussion before with quite a few people and have always maintained Valero would have beaten Pacquiao. Okay, all right. Is Tassie top 10 pound for pound most influential in the boxing business? Well, I think he wants to be, Jules. He's on his way, isn't he? Oh, look, no, I think as far as being influential, that's obviously the promoters out there, No Limit, Tasman Fighters, they're the most influential. And then you've got the managers and the next most influential type of people. But he's a mover and shaker, Tassie. And I know he's got a lot of kudos out of this Terence Crawford thing by pulling this off, and if he does the WBC convention as well. So if he pulls off the WBC convention, I have to say he is in the top 10 most influential people in Australia. I mean, to bring that event to Australia, no one else has been able to do it. A lot of funding and sponsorship that has to happen yet. But the fact he's actually proactively having a crack at it. He did send me the proposal to have a look at the other day. Everything that's involved, it's massive. It is massive. But he's confident he can get it done. And it was really good to have a look at it and see how it all works and what they require. I won't go too much into it because he sent it to me in confidence. Not to say I can't say I read it, but I just can't tell you what was in it. But yeah, I reckon if he pulls that off, 100% he would be, Jules, for sure. And even now, he goes over to Saudi Arabia and, you know, he's mixing it with all these guys sitting there having coffee with Teddy Atlas and Eddie Hearn and all these types of guys. So, hey, he's a classic example of no one's going to just hand you anything. No one's going to hand you cred or respect or whatever you might want to call it. No one's just going to give it to you. And I've seen it firsthand. I've been away with Tassie a couple of times. He goes over there and he's a mover and shaker. Yeah, he rubs a few people up the wrong way, but hey, he gets the job done, and that's what he's done in this case. He's befriended Terence Crawford, kept in contact with him, got him to Australia. He made contact with Mauricio Suleiman when he went over there somewhere, and now he's obviously down the track as far as the conference goes. So, yes, definitely he is a mover and shaker, mate. That is for sure. All right, a couple more questions there, guys, and we'll call it a night. We'll go to this one, actually. Not surprised with the WBC looking after Manny now. Let's not forget how the referee looked after him when Skinny as saying knocked him down in Thailand. The longest count in history. Yeah, don't remind us about that, Ali. Not good. Plant Resendez, definitely Plant. I think Andy Cruz, Sequin Moses, and Tito Mercado all on Hitch's Cambosis undercard pound for pound. Okay, yeah, I'll have a better look a bit later. Zach, I was going to say, who's Sequin Moses? There is, yeah, Zaquin Moses, 3-0. He's fighting Carl Rogers, who's 3-2. Who else did you say there? Tito Mercado. There is no Ernesto Mercado is on that card. And Andy Cruz, yep. Oh, that's his nickname, is it? Tito, Ernesto Tito Mercado. All right, there you go. All right. Daniel, Tassie loves it. Very few people have his love and passion for the sport. Mate, he lives for the sport. His whole life just revolves around boxing, and that's great. And good luck to him. As I said, if like to anyone out there, if you've got ambitions and goals, well, who's stopping you from doing it? Geez, I sound like I'm an inspirational talker here, don't I? I'm certainly not trying to be that way. But all I can say is, you know, if you've got goals and you want to do it, don't sit back and say it can't be done. I mean, I must admit, when Tassie started to do his podcast and stuff, I was thinking, how's he going to get this guy? And that? Hey, he's made it happen. He's made it happen. And I've literally seen him in when we were in there for what fight was it? The third Triple G and Canelo fight. Literally run after people to meet them. And they're the same people that are now on his podcast. So I remember thinking, oh, geez, that's not something I do. But he's the man. He really is. And I'm really happy for him that I saw today on his social media, the photos of him and Bud and at the zoo and all that sort of stuff. And I was thinking, well done, mate. Well done. You had a dream, or that's what you want to call it, a goal, something you want to do. You want to get him to Australia, and you've done it. So good luck to him, and I hope he makes a fortune out of it. But guys, that's going to do it for this week. Make sure you check out Walking Boxing every morning. Try and get it on there by about sort of 10 o'clock in the morning. Some days I've got to get on the road. It might be a bit later, but I'll try and get it on. Wednesday night, the dream fights will be Floyd Mayweather Jr. So check that out, 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. So guys, as always, have a great week. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you next Monday on Talking Boxing.